Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan, bringing you Can Icky Answer Me? Yes, guys, so look, we have a lot to get through today. Is anyone playing it in the background? No, there we are. Yes, guys, so look, we have a lot it's probably me. I'll log out and come back in, Jack. You take over. Is anyone playing it in the background? No, there we are. It's probably me. I'll log out and come back in, Jack. You take over.
Someone may be delayed. Maybe someone's is delayed. Someone's might be delayed, maybe.
You want to log out and log back in, lad?
Someone may be delayed. Maybe someone's is delayed.
Hold on a sec.
Someone's
Hang on, sorry.
maybe.
I
You want to
have
log out and log back in?
now. Sorry, I have two.
Okay, yeah, no bother.
I didn't know I was on the second one. They are. That's grand. My fault.
Sorry about that, guys. We have everything sorted there. Don't worry about it. Look, we have an absolute lot to get through today. A hell of a lot to get through today. Look, we want to dissect all the players' quotes from the whole week. You know, there's quotes from Hugo Lloris that I'm not too satisfied about. I want to pit Ben Davies' quotes compared to Ollie Skip's quotes. So we have so much to get through today. A bit on the players, a bit on the management and stuff like that. And we've rolled out an absolute stellar panel for you guys. First of all, we're joined by co-host Jack Kanicki. Jack, how are you keeping, my man?
Keeping well, David, keeping well. I just want to echo that as well. That's like basically a bit of a precursor. This Can Icky Answer Me theme. It's kind of like we're just going to be discussing that horrible week that we just endured from last week. You know, get some quotes in, basically try to recap maybe, you know, some of the things that went wrong as well. You know, some of the things that were said by the players and the manager about last week. Try to make some sense of it in the best way we can. There's no better panelists, you know, below me here, you know, in order to maybe make some sense of it, as well as David, you know, here to my right. So I would just say, you know, guys, strap in because it's another Can Icky Answer Me. But like always, you guys have to also maybe hold the panelists accountable, give your answers to all the questions, give your thoughts to everything as well. So I always enjoy the show, David, for that reason. You know, the Harris Army is very much included in this show.
No, 100%. And look, that's all we ever want is people to be able to give their opinions. And look, first of all, we're joined by Philip Brady, the absolute legend himself. How are you keeping, my man?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, the shock of Sunday is wearing off a little bit now. So looking forward to a better week ahead.
Yeah, look, and I certainly hope so. You know, we all could definitely do it one, that's for sure. But look, from one legend to another, Mr. Daigle, how are you keeping, my man?
I'm good. Well, Phil's getting recovering from the shock of Sunday. I'm recovering from the anger of Sunday. So it's a explosive combination. But yeah, I'm sure it's going to get more explosive because I've seen what's coming.
Yeah, no, look, it's some very good questions, some very topical questions, some very debatey questions. And it's just to kind of gauge what everybody's opinion is out there on the whole situation. I think it's good to have it. So, look, let's see what Harris Army are here to join us, the Irish Hotspur Army. Let's see who's here to join us. We have Dermot. He says, your mission is, if you choose to accept Jack and David, it is to find out if Nuno is a gnome or if you are any of your team get caught. The Harris Army will deny any involvement. Good luck, David and Jack. Come on, you Harris Army. Big up, Dermot. I hope things are well with you, my man. We have the Spurs fan. Big up, Tommy. He says, Nuno out, Thomas Franks in, or Poch is under pressure at PSG. Ooh. Look, I'll be honest with you. I don't think it is as simple as just saying these names. You have to look at it. We tried in the summer, couldn't get them. I don't think it's that simple. That's why it's a very tricky situation to be in right now. Killian Kenny says, scum Arsenal. Big up David, Harris, and Jack. Night all. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Harris Army. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Come on, you boys in green. And come on, you girls in green. Big up, Killian. Big yourself up, my man. GCM James says, new start, get Eric Ten Hag in and build a 5-year project under him, prepared to wait as long as it's positive football. Look, it's all about, I have no problem doing that, but he doesn't want to come. He already rejected us in the summer, my man. Gonzalez says, second string played on Thursday and we were effectively playing for a first team place, but were useless and showed no desire to be picked. In fact, they played like they wanted to avoid being picked. Very good point, well, my man. Derek Hutchins is in the house. He says, big up David and Jack. Big up, Derek, my man. This guy's an absolute legend as well. The truth sets you free. He's absolutely loving me lately. He's everywhere I am. Big yourself up, man. I hope things are well. What a legend. He also mentions
the man.
So I have a soft spot for him. He always mentions Roy Keane a lot.
He's incredible.
So, it's good to see you, my man. He says, come on, you Spurs. Legend. #Irish Army. It's good to see him, but I hope you're keeping well as well. Big up Shamu Van Spurs. He is in the house, my man. He says QPR just got robbed of a goal. I'll be honest with you, I haven't had time to watch it, lad. I'm trying to cheer people up on, trying to cheer people up at the minute. Old Soul 53 says, big up, lads and ladies. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Harris Army. Old Soul, I'd say you're probably sitting there. What was it you said? An apple crumble. That's what he's eating. An apple crumble. Big up, Old Soul.
I think he had a plum crumble the other night as well. A plum crumble the other night as well.
Yeah,
I mean, the guy's
he gets
treated.
spoiled, that guy. He gets spoiled, that guy. He's doing something right. The regulars says, big up everyone. Come on, you Harris Army. Come on, you Spurs. Big yourself up. Zanuska's in the house. Evening, guys. Really intrigued to see what you guys have to say. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Harris Army. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Look, one thing about this panel right now is we all have big mouths, so, it's not going to be quiet, that's for sure. Alexander Hilton says, hello, big yourself up, Alexander. Tin Man 007's in the house. He says, evening, boys. Hope you are well. Big yourself up, and girls. He doesn't want to exclude anybody. So big up, Tin Man, really covering all bases there. Miguel Escobardo's in the house. Says, evening, fam. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Harris Army. Come on, you Flat.
Big up, legend Para Miguel.
All the way from Lagos. Big yourself up. Ronan O'Donnell's in. He says, good evening, everyone. Big up, Ronan. I hope things are well. Big yourself up. Seb Shah says, evening to all the Tottenham crew. Big yourself up. Big yourself up, Seb. I hope you're keeping well, my man. I always see you in the comments, just like all the other people you've mentioned.
David, I have to say, Seb is actually a great bloke. He actually came to meet me at one of the NFL protests, and I've met him a couple of times. He's come to the last two, and hopefully he'll be there for the third one. He's a top dude, is Seb. Top dude.
Another warrior. There you go, Seb.
Doing your bit, my man. Big yourself up. Catman Jess says, everywhere we go. Big yourself up, lad. Hope you're keeping well. So he's in the house as well. She says, big up, lads. Good to see you all. It's good to see you, Zoe. I hope things are well. We have Tango bin Rashid in the house. Big yourself up, my man. Hope you're keeping well. Chris Agambar is in. He says, evening all. Big up, Chris. I hope you're keeping well, lad. Letitia's in the house. Look, I'd say, he probably sat there, watched these highlight reels of all these goals from down the year. Matt Letitia, big yourself up. Phil, I hope you're keeping well. Christopher B is in as well. He says, this week isn't over. We will lose tomorrow. I hope not, lad. I hope not. Look, I'm going in to be optimistic. I'm willing to take this appointment all over again. I'm a sucker. Richard Bennett says, evening to all. I hate to say this, as he has been Mr. Tottenham, but Kane is not the player he was and maybe needs to be dropped. Look, fair play, fair point. I disagree, though, but I do see where everyone else is coming from with this sort of call and everything else. But I still hold out. I still hold out for the time being. That's where I'm at. Mary McGee says, big up, lads. What a panel. Come on, you Spurs. Big yourself up, Mary. Hope you're keeping well. Look, when we put the panel together, we said, look, who's the oldest, wisest heads we can bring that's going to bring some sense and some clarity to the situation? And we thought no better than Philip, and we thought no better than Mr. Daigle, and then, of course, Mortal Mount, myself, and then host Jack to deliver the questions. Stellar panel. Tel says, great panel. Big up, lads. Big up, Tel. Big up, Tels. Ian Harper says, Oxford United best beat Tottenham under 21s. What was the score, my man? Do let me know, lad.
3-2. 3-2. 3-2.
Unlucky. I'll actually. Did you watch the game?
No, I just saw the score come through on the Sky.
All right. Theo Shilton. Oh, come on, Scarlett. That's what I'm talking about. Theo Shilton says, I think we'd all drive Poch back to the lane if he became available. Yeah, look, I hope so. Me personally, I don't think he's coming back when you still have the likes of Winks and Davies and all there. I don't see it, but I hope he does. Kane the long shot says, big up, boys. Great panel. Come on, you Spurs. Be yourself up, man. Golden Cock is in the house. Says, great host. Great panel. Great chat. What more could you want on a Tuesday evening? Exactly, lad. Exactly. Get the popcorn out. Get the cans of Coke out. Maybe have one extra. Get bold with it. You know what I mean? And enjoy the show.
Nice.
Ian Ferguson says being a Spurs fan is hard, but it's better than being a gooner. That's for sure, my man. That is for sure. Great comment. Carl Simpson says, evening, guys. Hope you are well. Big up, Carl. I hope you're well, my man. The Bertie says, big up this great panel. Big yourself up, Bertie. Paul Brown's in the house. My man, Paul, I hope you're keeping well. Evening, David and panel. All you deflated bunch. Enoch out. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Paul, my man. I hope you're keeping well. Let's just welcome in THFC 1882. Good evening, everyone. Come on, you Spurs. The disabled team is in the house.
Big up disabled team.
Yourself up. Jeremy Nelson says, has the past Champions League qualification and getting to the final of the Poch actually papered over the facts that Spurs under Enoch are and will always be an average club?
Definitely papered over it.
Clubs in the world, my man. Come on. Brad Murphy says, big up, guys. If Denny's playing tomorrow, I'm not watching the game. I don't blame you, but look, I'll always tune in. And JC says, tune in late, lads. Big up the panel. You're not tuning in late. You're tuning in on time, my man. Fashionably late. That's what I would say, JC. Ooh. And look, just before we take this super chat, big up OG Low. But guys, make sure everyone absolutely smashes that like button. Make sure you smash that subscribe button if you are new. We're so close to 4.5K. So let's see if we can keep driving this baby. And look, as well, you know, sometimes the chat gets hot and heavy. You know, if you want to skip the whole queue, feel free to get your super chats in, like OG Low here. Look, I know not everybody is in a position to do it, especially Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I know it's tight at the end of the week, believe me. So, guys, do not worry. I promise I will get everybody's comment up on screen as best as I can. But genuinely, super chat is the way to go. If you want to skip that queue, we will get straight to it, guys. And it's just a great way to help support me and Jack on the journey. And it just shows a bit of appreciation for the content. And even if you can't, all them people that like, subscribe, share the streams and everything else, we appreciate your appreciation for us as well. But look, Jack, you know, let's kick it off. Let's take the super chat and then we'll crack into it.
Here we go. OG Low starting us off here. He says, I have a question for all four of you. When was the last time Spurs won a game when the opposite team played well, but Spurs still won the game? So basically, I think what he's saying, when was the last time we had a snatch and grab, basically? When was the last time, you know, we kind of stole something away from, you know, the other team? That's hard to say. That's kind of maybe going back to the Jose era. Maybe, you know, speaking of Thomas Frank, I would say Thomas Frank in that Brentford match in that cup game. I thought, you know, we weren't really the best team in that one. That was maybe one of the last times I can remember it. But what about you, Brian Daigle? When was the last time you can remember the last time Spurs won a game when the opposite team played well or played better?
I'll say it in 2 words or 3 words. Lucas Moura hat trick.
There we go. The savior himself. The beautiful man.
If you want to know where we absolutely got battered, and you want to take that term snatch and grab, there is no other game that comes to mind.
No better
than that one.
Maybe. There
exactly.
There's Brian's answer. You know, Philip, what about for you? Man, when was the last time you can remember Spurs did a bit of old snatch and grab? I love a snatch and grab personally, Philip.
I think it was the game when Steven Bergwijn scored his first goal for Spurs against Man City.
That's a decent one. That is a decent one.
A cost for 75 minutes and then won 2-0. You know, so, you know, probably that. Maybe any Man City game this season as well. Although not quite as bad as the season before. But yeah, I say Man City. Probably the one before that was the Ajax game. You know, I'd say that's probably the one the nearest. That's what, 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, I believe so. So. There you go, David. And then finally for you.
Oh, this one, Jack. This was a heist. Look, the Man City won the second leg on the run up to the Ajax game, where, you know, Llorente scored with his arm. You know, they got the goal disallowed offside the last minute and everything else. That's a heist. I absolutely is loving that. There's nothing but, do you know what? And I love a smash and grab as well, because there's no better feeling than coming out wearing a balaclava, absolutely delighted with life. You know what I mean? There's no better feeling. Big up, OG. Great question, my man.
Great question. So might as well then just crack into it, but big yourself up, OG Low. And I will, you know, echo this, everybody. I do want your answers for all these questions here. I do want your answers for them. You know, we are going to start off on a bit of an interesting note for this one, I would say, because, you know, it's going to be kind of recapping last week with the Vitesse Arnhem game. You know, a lot of fans, you know, a lot of fans have suggested that, you know, a lot of our players refuse to take any sort of responsibility for the results and their performances, especially that Vitesse match. Ben Davies in particular in the post-match against Vitesse said it was a very tough game for us, a tough atmosphere to play in, and we didn't give the best accounts of ourselves, Davies said. The effort was there, but if it was a shame the way it ended, it was tough to get going. We lost a lot of second balls, but we were under the cosh a lot. And he's then said, I don't think the pitch helped. We didn't have any decisions going our way. Philip, I mean, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you read these post-match quotes from Ben Davies here?
Oh, it's such a pity that Ben Davies didn't play back in the 60s and 70s. And when the pitch was either a mixture of Brighton Beach or a paddy field, then he might have had something to complain about. Because there might have been a divot or two on the pitch. You know, come on. Jesus, I mean, that you know, the years ago that was a good excuse. Nowadays it just does not wash. Soccer
Right.
pitches at the moment are top class. Okay, as the season goes on, they might get a bit bumpy, but that is no way he can use that as an excuse. As for the atmosphere, what did he expect? It's Vitesse's biggest game in Europe for years. They have a big club like Tottenham Hotspur coming to town. What do they expect to do? The crowd to sit on their hands for 90 minutes and say nothing.
I've never even seen him have a good touch on our own pitch, Philip. Let alone
Well,
I would
yeah,
expect to have
true,
one
that's
of
true. But I
Vitesse's.
mean, no, it's a joke.
Is it a
really
classic
I mean,
case of just not willing to take any sort of responsibility, just
exactly.
maybe looking
Blame
for
everything but yourself.
Yeah,
You
there
know,
it
I
is.
mean, no, it's you cannot accept that at all. You know, I
Mm.
mean, and then saying, I think he also made some question about the referee's decisions.
Yeah,
Okay, the
yeah, I
referee
remember
might have been great, but he wasn't great for either team, in my opinion. You know, I
Mm,
mean, there are occasions you can blame the referee, but that was not one of them.
yeah. And to you, Brian Daigle, I mean, are these thoughts from Ben Davies, these quotes from Ben Davies, or is it just a classic example of some of these players who just refuse, to take any sort of responsibility when they let down the fans?
So first of all, I just want to quickly say to Adam, don't worry, don't need to apologise. You thought this was a Guinness, and I was like, no. As a recovering alcoholic, I can assure you it's not a Guinness. He's like, oh no,
It might be a bit
my bad.
milkier. It might be a bit foamier. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can guarantee you it's not a Guinness. But I did used to love the black stuff to all the people in Ireland. So yeah, take that as you will. What does Ben Davies say? Boo hoo hoo! Someone's taken my lunch money. Boo hoo hoo! Someone's literally. Oh my god, the bigger kids are picking on me. Boo hoo hoo! It is disgusting. It is disgusting, and I'll go back to obviously these professional footballers now, who, like Phil said, going back in the day, he wouldn't have known what was going on. If you had to put the great Dave Mackay up against Ben Davies for 10 minutes, then I would understand why the hell he was pitching. But to come out with this is why I'm hating what's going on with our club right now. Because as I mentioned yesterday, you have people like William Kelly who are saying what he said yesterday, and this is what his Tottenham team are doing to him. And he's like, boo-hoo, the pitch was unfair, the grass wasn't green enough, or it wasn't even enough, or the away fans were intimidating. You've played at Wembley against Real Madrid. You've been to the Nou Camp. You've played North London derbies. You've played against Chelsea. And you're complaining.
Lower level Eredivisie side is somehow too much for him.
You should be bitching that you're playing in the Conference League because the team you're playing for don't have pride to wear that badge like we do anymore. So for him to come out with this as a senior player, a player that's been with us for 8 years, that has been
Mere testimonial,
that has been to 2 European Championship finals with with Wales, sorry. And this is what he comes out with. He played against Marine last season on a much worse pitch, but we won that game, so he didn't say nothing. These comments are absolutely laughable, and I expect to hear these when I pick my nephews up from school, not from a Premiership footballer that's gone to Holland to play a game and been flown by a private jet and stays in 5-star hotels. And piss off, Ben Davies, piss off.
I mean, this just goes back to the age-old quote David used to say. I mean, they start to blame, their washer, for, maybe, holding them back from a game. They start to blame, their mother's roast, from the night before, being overcooked or something like that, and blaming it. I mean, it's absolutely at this rate despicable. But I'm going to get to Dermot's super chat here before I get David's, a weighted answer on Ben Davies' quote. Dermot saying, I know we all feeling a bit down, but the cockerel will rise again. The likes of Ben Davies and co never take responsibility for anything. Well said, Dermot. We will win tomorrow and win Saturday. We, the mighty Tottenham Hotspur, we will rise again. I mean, again, Dermot, he gives you the goosebumps with this sort of optimism again. He brings you, that light at the end of the tunnel. Some are so down at the moment that, yesterday they were saying that light at the end of the tunnel is the train headed right towards us. But I'd like to think that we're on that train headed out of the tunnel. I personally like to think that we're headed out of this tunnel. And Dermot, every single day, is reminding me of, especially someone who's been through a lot and has seen this club at its heights. I would expect him, to be a bit more down, but somehow he finds a way to rise up, which means that I honestly can't be, pouting too much about it, especially being a younger one myself. But anything to say to Dermot here, the legend himself, David, he's always finding a way to maybe, give us that bit of hope.
Look, at the end of the day, you have to have hope. As a football fan, everything you do and everything you say and everything, it's all about hope. It's all about hope at the end of the day. If you lose that, you know, you probably end up losing the will to live. Look, even the most people that are most down about it now, they still have that bit of hope. It's still there. And look, obviously, quotes like Ben Davies does not help. You know, it just doesn't help. But at the end of the day, I absolutely admire Dermot's optimism and, you know, how, like, because look, Monday morning, he picked me up, you know, sent me positive messages. And, you know, I was deflated. I didn't want to get out of bed after West Ham. Oh, fuck this. You know what I mean? What's the point? You know what I mean? But look, you know, it's just, I love the optimism. And it's, look, I've been there. It's hard to be the most optimistic one amongst all the negativity, which is justified, man. I'm not having to go at anybody for it. You know, it's justified, but it's hard to be trying to find the positives through it, and somehow Dermot just manages to do it. And look, you know, we could be sitting here in 2 weeks' time, ultimately thinking what was all the fuss about? 2 cup games, we could still be in 2 cups and sitting up in round 4 in the league. You know, chances are we probably won't, but you know, you have to hope, and we could be. But big up, Dermot, my man. I really, really appreciate it, brother. What an absolute gentleman. A massive one as well. Really appreciate the support, my man.
Really, really kind of you, Dermot.
It's the hope that kills you, 100%, my man. It's always the hope that kills you. It's the hope. That's why you get so down after a game, because you're so hopeful before a game that when it doesn't happen, you get so down about it. That's what it is, my man.
And David and I especially, this maybe David as well, you know, David and I especially, we're kind of like goldfish when it comes to Tottenham Hotspur fans. You know, we did the tactical analysis for what went wrong, how we can do better, and then somehow we just wake up the next day thinking it's going to be different results. It's probably where a bit of our insanity comes from, a bit of where our kookiness comes from, but I would say we're a bit like goldfish that way. And maybe I might lose that sort of, you know, mentality, but at the right now, I will say just what keeps me going. It's just what keeps me going. But Dermot, like I said, maybe comments from Ben Davies here, they certainly don't help. Big up David as well for their, you know, the hope killing you. And then also big up also earlier, OG Low as well for giving your question as well. Big yourselves up. But David, your thoughts on Ben Davies? You know, I mean, he's blaming the pitch. He's blaming the referees. He's saying, you know, this was a great opportunity for the squad. You know, it gives them, you know, the time to earn their minutes, you know, to prove something to the manager. And yet, though, he finds maybe that bit of opportunity at the end to blame it on something else apart from himself. Is this just a key example of maybe the mentality of these players?
Yeah, look, Jack, he was sure blaming Barney the dinosaur, the tooth fairy, and the roast dinner that his ma burnt 15 years ago. Absolutely ridiculous. I've had enough of it, to be honest with you. It screams everything us fans have been saying about these guys. You know, about him and the other core group of players, because I'm not going to go on to Winks now because that's coming. You know, and it's like a teed Harry Winks up for it. Look, I'm absolutely fed up with it. There's no accountability, no responsibility, and it's blame everything else but themselves. And the reason why they're in a position they are in is because they've failed throughout their career to look at themselves. And them quotes absolutely stink of it. I'm fed up with it. What he should have been saying and coming out after the game is, I wasn't good enough. I hold myself accountable for my performance. It wasn't good enough as a team. We should be winning these types of games. We apologize to all you fans out there that get up around the world at ungodly hours, all you fans that pay for the subscriptions to watch this, and all you fans that paid money to come out here today. And us players are going to get together and refund you. That's what they should be saying, because you should not be losing these games. But no, Ben Davies wants to blame the football pitch. You're telling me before he got into an academy, he's from fucking Wales, man. You're telling me he wasn't playing on hilly pitches with potholes on it, pitches on slants. Man, we all did growing up. We all did. Fuck's sake, half was playing in concrete car parks using jumpers as goalposts. What is he talking about? You know, it kills me, man. And then you go on to blaming the referee. Yeah, okay, I get it. The referee wasn't on your side, but I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. When the referee's not on your side, that's when you need to galvanize the rest of the team and say, look, guys, he's not on our side. We need to play out our skin and play them off the park. If we're going to win today, we really have to earn it. But no, you want to just cave in and give that excuse. He also spoke about, you know, what was it? I think he was talking about they were trying and they just weren't picking up enough second balls. Mm-hmm. But the reason why you weren't picking up enough second balls is because you weren't trying.
And he's saying they were under the cosh a lot as well, David.
If you run harder and you try more, you would pick up them second balls. If you want it more than the opposition, you would pick up them second balls. If you come out and play the right way because you have more quality than the opposition, you would pick up them second balls. There is no excuse for it. No excuse for it. To blame the atmosphere, I'm absolutely raging with that one. That one I'm raging with. This guy has gone out, into massive stadiums across world football, gone out there, and he's crying about 23,000 hardcore Dutch fans. My God, it just shows what level he is at, what level his mindset is at, and that is completely wrong. And now it's time for him to get the fuck out.
And there are a lot of
apologies made to the fans whatsoever. Them quotes is the reason why we are in the situation we're in right now with a lot of these players, because they're the ones that dragged us into this position. Because when they got their chance, they never took it. They never wanted to improve. And I'm going to get on to another point later on. But he's a massive part of the problem. And seeing them comments enrages me, especially after a loss like that. It's absolutely enraging.
You know what it reminds me of? I remember, some of you might remember this years ago when British Rail were having trouble with their schedules. They blamed the trains being late for leaves on the line.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. Ben Davis's father must have worked for British Rail because he's coming up with the same sort of excuses. Absolutely don't bear any reality whatsoever.
No responsibility. As well as, I used to think, especially speaking of the atmosphere, which Brian was touching on, the Dutch, are probably known as being some of the nicest in Europe, you might say as well. So it is kind of shocking to hear this as well, that maybe they were being too toxic or whatever, or they were being put under the cosh. And then as well, you just have to consider that this guy, how far he's fallen to even say a comment like that.
Jack, we're talking about a guy that's gone to the Euros. Sorry, quickly, actually, because I'm just raging. You're talking about a guy that's gone to the Euros. The Euros, man. He's played at the highest one of the highest international stages you can play. And he's intimidated by a few fans screaming at him. Surely that comes part of the job. If you're willing to accept the wages, surely you accept that you're going to have fans in the stadium against you from the opposition. It's part and parcel of the job.
It's part of the job description. That's actually it. As well, there are a lot of Spurs fans that, were even in Holland or even lived there that were actually really excited to go see their team for the first time in a long while. And to see players like Ben Davies gives excuses after that, after disappointing them, it's just, again, despicable. But Tim Man 007 saying, and he's given his answer to the question, we have no leaders in this team. It's proven by the 4 shambolic derby defeats here. No one takes any responsibility, all spineless, all looking for excuses. Yeah, and to a degree, Ben Davies is not the only one. And we'll touch on that later. He's not the only one, that is coming up with excuses for these. But I mean, what do you think, Brian Daigle? I mean, is it just maybe a symbolic of these 4, horrible derby defeats as well, in London, where it's just there's no sense of, even having a spine? I mean, it'd be nice to see if they could even grow one, just to maybe just show a bit of, stature, or even just a bit of willpower.
The superstar that is Tim Man 007 has got it absolutely bang on the money. Listen, it's not even those 4 derbies, not one of them was a good performance. We had one good half against Chelsea in the first half. The other 7 halves have been horrific. And if you have leaders in the pitch, that don't happen. I mean, you at least put in a performance. You at least give 120%. You at least try to do something.
Or at least barking at each other. They're at least. Yeah.
There's no. I mean, I go on it again, and I'm not just saying it's about Harry Kane, but Harry Kane's the easiest one for me to bring up. Like I said, when we used to go a goal down, like Pete Pochner, if we had a goal down or conceded a goal, all the players were like, come on guys, let's get this, let's G it up. And Harry Kane was a main one. He used to do it a hell of a lot. He was like, you always saw him going back to the centre back, and that was showing his leadership. And now they just heads down to, none of them cares, like, let's just get the ball back as soon as possible. And there's no ambition. I mean, what I would give, and I keep saying it, we sold the wrong people. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Sissoko and Aurier, yes. People, whether you loved him or hated the man, and I was on the love side, if Lamella was on the pitch for those 4 derbies, you can guarantee that A, he would be running around like crazy, and he would have gone absolutely mental at every single one of the players that weren't trying.
He gets mad when someone even touches him that's on the other team, as well.
He may have had a horrible injury record. He may have not had a right foot. He may have really split opinions on players, on fans. But one thing that no one can deny, whether you loved him or hate him, is that Eric Lamella loved Tottenham, and he would do anything for the shirt when he was on the pitch.
He's a walking 2-footed tackle into the other team. That's what I loved about him.
It If anyone's watched that movie with Jason Statham and Vinnie Jones, The Mean Machine, they'll know Jason Statham's character is the monk, and he's a goalkeeper that has crazy wild episodes in his head, like schizophrenic episodes, and just like that's why I used to call Eric Lamela the monk. That's why I used to call Eric Lamela the monk, because he just saw things and went boom. You've just seen it in these London derbies. You know what? We all say, just put in a performance. Everyone says it. If we lose to the better team, then you lose to the better team. If you lose all the time, then it becomes an issue because relegation becomes a threat. But if we had shown up in any of those derbies and lost, but we played well, you go, do you know what? We're annoyed that we lost, but you can't say they didn't give their everything. Yeah. And we just can't say that right now. And it's so what we could put teams together of people in this chat, multiple teams of people in this chat that could go onto those pitches and give more passion, more dedication, more commitment, more application than any of those players have. Yeah. And it's sickening to say that in London derbies. It's abysmal.
It shouldn't take a lot in order to recognize that.
The problem is, and again, it's probably, you might have heard me say this before, I am no fan, this is no reflection of Hugo Lloris, but I'm no fan of goalkeeper captains.
I'm the same.
You need to have a megaphone to get his instructions out to the players up the front and in the middle. You want someone either in the middle of the defense or the middle of the midfield who can see what's going on in the game and put it right. Goalkeeper captain does not see the whole picture. He's too far back.
I agree.
Big up 10-man 007.
Okay, you could say, let's make Harry Kane the captain. Over the last few games, he probably wouldn't have bothered his arse doing anything anyway. He just seems to have lost the will to cajole and to buck up the players like he used to do. Hopefully that will come back. But like we need an outfield captain. And if Hugo Lloris goes at the end of the season, which we don't know whether he will or not, I'd expect that probably Højbjerg will get the job.
Yeah, absolutely. But big up to Man 007. Big yourselves up. Absolutely love that answer to it. Definitely sparked a good conversation there in terms of Ben Davies. But Kuva99 saying, I like to calm down by imagining Ben Davies has just signed for. So I don't know. What is this? Soyuz FC?
The Russian space capsule. The Russian spaceship.
Floating harmlessly into space, watching an Eric Dyer pass sail past him. As well, that's honestly, the Sputnik, maybe for Sputnik FC. That's what comes to mind. I was
just watching the Chelsea versus Southampton penalty shootout there in the background a few minutes ago, and Chelsea won it, unfortunately. But one of the Southampton penalties is just about cleared the Earth's atmosphere. I've never seen one hit as high.
Especially this one.
It was unbelievable. It's really physically impossible to get the height on that he did. So Eric Dyer is not the only one that can do that.
Oh, there are plenty of moon boots out there, but big yourself up, Kuva. Big yourself up, Kuva. I'd sign him for Sputnik. Clearly, you're signing him for Soyuz FC. So there you are. Maybe two rival, spaceship, Russian squads. But regardless, that's the league that we need to send him to him. And Eric Dyer will be sending balls after him. But big yourself up, Kuva. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Shauna Blaney saying, and big yourself up, Shauna Blaney. Good to see you. She says, do you guys agree with the way some Spurs fans have turned on Kane? Maybe we touched on this last night, very, very heavily in our fan show. And Brian Daigle was there. Danny was there. David was there. David, maybe, you give an answer on this. Personally, Shauna, I'd like to give him a bit more time. I'd like to think that maybe, there are a lot of culprits at the moment. It is kind of a condition of ours, to sometimes turn on the players that we probably to a degree have taken for granted over these years. But at the same time, David, you want to give a quick answer to it for Shauna? But big yourself up, Shauna. If you want a very big, big debate on it, just check the end of the 4.5-hour fan show that we did last night.
Yeah, look, I think Shauna done that, knowing my love for Harry Kane. Now, look, Shauna, first of all, it is good to see you. I hope you are keeping well, first and foremost. Look, for me, you can't put yesterday solely on Harry Kane. Look, you had 8 other players who did not turn up alongside Harry Kane. You can't put that on Harry Kane. Look, the reason why I failed to put on Harry Kane, everything just on Harry Kane as well, is purely because under Nuno, we've created less chances than what we have under Jose and what we have created under Pochettino. Now, look, you can't put, Harry Kane's body language isn't right. You can't deny that. But I also hear a lot of people saying he doesn't love Spurs anymore. His heart's not in it. I don't believe it because it's the same problem at England. If he was performing for England and not performing for Tottenham, I'd say yes. But when he's not performing for club and country, I'll be honest with you, what I think is affecting him is the Euros final. I think losing another major competition, coupled with not getting the move to City, he's probably sitting there, am I ever going to win trophies? Now, that will pass. He will score goals, and he will end up being our top scorer at the end of the season. He's already our top scorer right now. I know he's only scored one in the Premier League, but we need goals, and he's scoring them across all competitions. You know, he does need to do more in the Premier League, though. But look, I don't think it's fair, no. Not when there's other players not putting it in, and not when your front four is not creating chances. Like, look, you can say no shots against West Ham, but how can you put that all on Harry Kane? There's Son there to do a job, Lucas there to do a job, and Ndombele to do a job. At the end of the day, I've played up front, right? Now, the thing is, you also have to take tactics into account. And I firmly believe Nuno was asking him to stick up top because it was a clear tactic that Jose was asking him to drop deep and pick up the ball. Look how well he was doing. But now he's asking him, for me, in my opinion, I think Nuno's asking him to stick up top. Now, if Nuno's asking him to stick up top and not drop deep to affect the game, that means your other players around him have to be able to create the chances for him. Now, we're not creating chances for anybody, let alone just him. I don't think it's fair.
And if you want Shauna again, I really do stress just checking that last, I think probably 30-ish, 40-ish minutes, because Brian Daigle gives a fantastic counter, I think, to that, as well as, you know, maybe he also kind of reaching across the aisle to David, I would say, also on his answer, as well as Danny. But we do have to move on because we got a lot of questions tonight. But big yourself up, Shauna. Again, really appreciate seeing you again. Hopefully you're keeping well. Yeah, Dave. Oh, I see a big one, actually. From Dermot here. Very, very generous, actually. It was off screen there. Dermot, here you are, honestly. Dermot, very, very generous with you again. The man is just, he's got the Mother Teresa's bone in him, something about it. He's got the very, very generous bone in him. And Dermot, again, though, he always likes to come in with the very, very thoughtful answers that maybe also, you know, kind of push the narrative, I would say, as well. Dermot, I just want to say, really appreciate you. And, you know, David and I do not deserve this at all. And also, Dermot, you know, let the others, you know, maybe take your place for you, because you just need to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. But if you're enjoying it this much, Dermot, then I really do appreciate you. And he says, you can blame Nuno all you like. The main problem is the players. They have no love for the club and the fans. All they care about is money. Until we get them out, it won't change. You could bring in the Moses and Jesus and the whole apostles, still won't change. You could have the final supper. You could have everybody. Yeah, and we probably just have too many Judases. I think that's what it is, Dermot. We have too many Judases in the club at the moment that are just willing to just, you know, betray their Jesus, but, you know, betray their Lord Jesus Christ at this stage. So that's what I would say, Dermot. But Dermot, again, I really appreciate the support, brother. And honestly, you're absolutely balling as well. So hopefully life is all good with you, Dermot. Hopefully everything is all good on your side of then. Hopefully the family's okay. Hopefully the missus is okay. And really do appreciate you, brother. I absolutely love you. Appreciate you, brother. And David, you know, anything to say to this? You know, even if we had Jesus and Moses, you know, guiding the tactics, you know, guiding this side, you know, we still wouldn't be able to have any change.
No, you wouldn't, Jack. Look, you could put fucking Houdini, Aladdin, you could put whatever magician, Harry Potter, whatever you want, Dynamo, whatever. You could put anybody in charge right now. Waving a magic wand, it's not that simple. Look, we have a cancer at this club, which we're going to go through in a little while. There's certain players that have to go. It's that simple. In order for that to happen, we also need to unite. And look, even if you're not going to get the owners out, at least put pressure on them to change their ways and realize what they're doing to the fans and what they're doing to the club. And look, it's not an easy fix. Look, you could bring Guardiola in tomorrow. It's not going to change it. May get a little bit better, but ultimately on the whole grand scheme of things, not much is going to change until more of this dressing room is turned around. And I'll get into that in a while on why it should be. But
yeah, and I think you can blame Nuno all you like. But at the end of the day, the common denominator is this players. But I know Dermot, I don't need to tell him that, though. But yeah, Dave.
Yeah, I just want to say it's far too kind, my man. I really appreciate it. It's a big one, and you really don't have to do that, my man. You really don't. I really appreciate it, brother. I don't know what to say. Just thank you. Thank you. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Dermot. But hopefully, you know, you can leave it to maybe the rest of the Harris Army as well and just, you know, put your comments. But again, Dermot, if you're enjoying it this much, if you are enjoying the shows this much, then, you know, absolutely appreciate you. But, you know, you've been so generous these past 2 nights. So Dermot, just take a step back, relax, my man. Just sit back, enjoy the show, enjoy the show. Just sit back in the lazy boy chair and just enjoy it, my man. Just enjoy it. But David Raybold, who I think we saw earlier with the super chat, is now a new member, and we're going to be seeing you Monday. Then, David, we have a queue set up for you. You're going to be in front chair, front seat. Let us know maybe where in the order we want to have you. But David, big yourself up, and look forward to seeing you Monday. Post Ole Gunnar Shoeshiner, El Sakiko. But they've also part of the David Army as well. So big yourself up. Jay Taylor saying no passion, no ambition, no grit, no desire, and that's Enoch. Now look at the rest of the team. All these years, it stems through the system. If the boss gets quality, get quality results. Honestly, Jay Taylor, you're singing from a lot of hymn sheets right now. You're singing from a lot of hymn sheets.
Truth will set you free, as they say. Honestly, Jesus Christ, it's so refreshing to see more and more people seeing it now. Honestly, like we were just talking backstage, people are waking up to this. Whether it's through what Levy's doing, whether it's Levy out factions, not just the one I'm part of, whether it's these streams that we're doing, but people are finally waking up, and we're getting bigger and bigger. And I honestly think it may still take a while, but where we are now compared to where we've been at previous times, we're in a lot stronger standing. So Jay, thank you for your words and for everyone that is starting to realise and support every Levy out kind of thing there is.
There you are. And Jay Taylor as well. A lot of people kind of like Dermot as well. Like we honestly waffle on and on and on, speak paragraphs, essays on trying to answer some of these questions. And so many of the people in the chat, David, as well as Brian and Philip, I don't understand how, they can just do it in a few characters, just do it in a few sentences. The efficiency sometimes of some of these people really honestly calls me out, I will say, especially someone who uses too many fancy words, too many pretty words sometimes. There you are, Jay Taylor. I'm actually in admiration of that, because that is so efficient. And you're singing from definitely Brian and the rest of our hymn sheets as well with that. So big yourself up, Jay Taylor. I couldn't agree more. And I know the rest of us couldn't agree more, but really also the efficiency of that as well. It just beautifully written. Big yourself up. No passion, no ambition, no grit, no desire. And that's Enoch. That's honestly should be up on my refrigerator. That should be up on my refrigerator. Big yourself up, Jay.
Every day when you wake up, that's what Dagon's writing it down now. Every day when he wakes up now, it's going to be that, and he's ready to go for the day.
It's like a haiku. Mate. It's like a haiku.
I have a Levy dartboard on my ceiling, so I just literally.
That's what they smack, before they enter the pitch. That's what they should smack before they enter the pitch. But here's the next one, and it's pretty similar character in terms of, a lot of excuses for poor quality of performances, and it is the Harry Winks. And the midfielder did say, listen, and this is also, post Vitesse, he said, listen, I love Tottenham. I've always made that clear, but I want to play more football, and I want to play regular football. The only way to play your best football and get momentum is when you're playing regularly, he says. And listen, I'm giving all for my club. Of course I am. They've stuck by me, and I'll stick by them, and I want to play for Spurs, but it is difficult when you get matches here and there, confidence is low, and you don't get that run of games that you want. It is difficult. Do our players, maybe, Philip, do they just fail to understand that they are responsible for their performances? They are responsible for their form. They are responsible for their mentality. And, why on earth do some of our players expect to be given constant multiple chances game after game after game when they are playing shit?
I would love to see Harry Winks play more football, but just not at Spurs. That's just it. I mean, he's not good enough.
In all seriousness, yeah.
He came into the team last Thursday and may as well not been on the pitch for all he did. He was dispossessed so many times. It was just criminal. I mean, he's another guy with a I don't know what to call it, a chip on his shoulder. He thinks we owe him a living. He thinks Nuno owes him a place in the team. You know what? I have a solution for Harry Winks. I think in the under-23s, you're allowed to play a couple of overage players. If he wants game time, put him in the under-23s. Let him play his matches there. Although I wouldn't wish him on the under-23s because they probably start losing if he was playing for them. But no, I just don't get the mentality. It's like an extension of what Ben Davis said. It's as if the two of them got together in the dressing room and said, right, I'll say this, Ben, and you make sure you back it up and say something like it.
Philip's on fire tonight.
No. I mean, I used to think Harry Winks was the future of Spurs. Then I woke up.
Oh, that must have been a horrible nightmare then you were in, Phil. It really
I
must
was
have been.
watching too many horror films. But no, he wants more playing time. He's got to leave Spurs. That's A1. Simple as that.
I love that. Oh, listen, you only have 5 minutes, Ben. I only have 5 minutes, Harry. I'll touch on this. You touch on that. We'll take a dig at Nuno. I'll take a dig at the pitch at the referee. Honestly, that's the only teamwork we saw all night. That was the only teamwork we saw all night.
The only coordination we saw the whole night, really.
Imagine if they put that sort of dedication into performances on the pitch. They wouldn't need to be doing that in media,
I'd say they put more effort into playing FIFA 20 on the game box.
Well choreographed. Well choreographed.
They would actually be more upset at losing a game of that than losing a match playing for the football team.
Yeah, it's true.
There you are. But Brian Daigle, what are your thoughts on this situation from Harry Winks? He's practically expected to be given games, no matter how poor his form is, no matter how shit he's playing. How do you feel about that? Is it just indicative again of the mentality at this club? Doesn't matter how much you break a glass. You can continue to be given constant chances. No matter how many times you spill the plate, you'll be continue to be given more chances. Is this just indicative of the mentality of that dressing room?
So first of all, in the last two games, or in the last game that they played on Thursday, you could have put two training cones in their positions, and they would have been more of an obstacle than the actual players were during that game, because they would have had to get around the training cone, and that really would have given more hard work for the Vitesse players than what they offer. The fact that Harry Winks, who is Tottenham born and bred, has the audacity to come out and say this shit, makes me laugh. We need to play more games. But I'll tell you what, do you know how you play more games? By performing in training. And when you perform in training, you get on the pitch. And if you have a good game on the pitch, it's seizing the moment and taking the opportunity, then you get to play more games. And if you get to play more games and you play well, you get to play for England or your country, whoever it may be. It's very, very simple. When we go to work and you start off, like when I was in customer service, I started off as an agent. I had a team leader, and then I had my team leader's boss, and I performed well. So seeing I performed well and consistently, they said, Brian, listen, we want to interview you for a team leader. So I did it, and I got it. And then you work harder again, and you get in the frame. That's kind of how life works. And because Harry Kane is a Tottenham fan, and because Harry Kane has got the skill and the skill.
Harry Winks.
The skill word. So let's take it out. He has the luck to play for Tottenham Hotspur. Does not mean you're born in Tottenham, you support Tottenham, you play for Tottenham. You have to work. This is what. And then the other thing he said as well, which you've missed out on, that is, well, when he actually had a dig and said, do you know what? Not taking the first team doesn't create a good environment. I'm like,
yeah,
mate. Do you not realise you're so shit that the first team don't even come near you? That's how bad you've become. You're talking about trying to get into the first team, whereas our manager doesn't want the first team anywhere near you guys because you're so crap. I don't know if all the hair gel is seeping through into his brain, and he's like got some kind of gel clot on his head, which is it baffles. Not only does it baffle me that he comes out with this, it baffles me that the Spurs media team have actually allowed this to get through and say, yeah, when they have the manager, the translators there or the press officer, and when they ask the manager a question they don't answer, they go, it's honestly, it is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. It's like having someone there, it's like you all having a job and going, yeah, do you know what, this fucking company is absolutely shit. They scam, they do this, they do that, they don't look. Why we are so bad because we accept this because of the mediocrity with my favourite person. That's what's allowed. Just bitch about the club. He'll probably get a new contract.
Yeah,
he'll probably get a new contract because he's been moaning and oh no, your value's going down, so we can't lose out on millions on you. So we'll just give you a new contract because the new contract is cheaper than buying a player that can actually come in and do your job.
Yeah.
How this is allowed? How Nuno hasn't come out and said, what the hell are you talking about? You're fined 2 weeks' wages. Don't talk bad about the club. Don't bitch about your demise and try and play on the heartstrings of Spurs fans that will give anything to be in your shoes. Anything.
They
You know
should
what
have
I mean?
just unplugged the mic, Brian. They should have just unplugged the
Unplug
mic.
the mic. They should rip out his voice box. Rip out his literally just stop him from talking. Just call him Charlie Chaplin and move him to the side. It's like, do you know what? You look at we'll go back to peak Fergie time. Peak Fergie time. After they had an embarrassing defeat, do you know who they sent out? Gary Neville, Roy Keane, all these people to come and say, do you know what? Listen, better team won. We're ashamed we're Manchester United. This is not what Manchester United does. We are like Dave said at the beginning, we wholeheartedly apologise to the fans. This is not acceptable. We are Manchester United, and all other teams do it. Here, oh yeah, well the first team didn't travel with us, and I don't get to play enough games because I'm shit, and I'm really trying. I'm Tottenham, and I'm really trying. Well, if that's your trying, piss off.
Yeah,
piss right off.
Who's
Literally,
selecting these guys to go forward?
Walk out the door and go. Just don't.
Who's selecting these? Who's selecting these guys to go forward, Brian? Who's selecting? Is it the media officer? Is it like who's letting these guys come forward?
You know what I think they're doing? I think they're doing that game, pin the towel on the donkey. It's like literally, who's going to go out? Whoever pins the towel close to the donkey, you're going out to do the interview.
But the thing is, with the media officer, right? Whoever it is has to be an Arsenal fan, because whoever performs the shittest that week is rolled out in the media. We've seen it under Jose Mourinho. You were seeing Doherty in the media, Eric Dyer in the media, and we were sitting there as fans like, these are the last dimwits anyone wants to hear from. You know what I mean? It's honestly a joke. Look, you take Harry Winks' comments as a whole. It's like, look, he thinks it's so simple. Honestly, the guy thinks he's cracked it. You may as well forget him, call him Einstein, right? Because he's sitting there and he's going, it's so simple. Well, look, if you give me game time, you play me on a consistent run of games, that breeds confidence, and then that brings that brings form and being able to play well. Well, what he's failed to realise is football. It's one of the harshest businesses in the world to be in. You get given a chance. You don't take that chance. At every other club, there's a responsibility, and if you do not take that chance, you don't get it again. But Harry Winks is in a position he knows he's going to get it again, because once we get an injury, straight in. There's no one else to do the job, so he's going to come straight in, so he can come out and say them words. But the problem is, what he failed to realize is you train hard, which I actually have a thing. I actually think he does train hard, right? But you train hard, you get given your chance, you take the chance. That means you get in the periphery of the first team onto the bench. You come off the bench, you take your chance, then you end up in the first team. You take your chance, you play well. That brings that brings confidence. That brings a run of form. But no, Harry Winks wants it all the other way around. I think Philip said it. He thinks we owe him a living. No, we have to give him a run of games to find his form. Yeah, let's bring in the massage girls. Let's bring in fucking, a hypnotherapist. Let's bring in fucking me to give him some confidence. Let's roll in Barney the dinosaur to keep his kids occupied. Absolutely ridiculous. And then you're talking about, oh, well, I don't agree with this whole A team, B team, like Diego was saying. I couldn't give a shit. You should be sitting there and going, why am I in the B team? Why am I sitting on the runway right now, waving bye-bye to my minder and Harry Kane and son? Why am I waving bye-bye to them on the runway right now? And that's purely because, right, you are not performing. Now, you're thinking, sitting on that plane, him, Ben Davies, Sanchez, they could have all got together and said, look, guys, we want to get into that first team, West Ham at the weekend, United coming up, some big games. We want to be involved. So if we want to be involved, we have to come together as a collective. Let's rally the rest of these players in and around us. Let's get the result. Let's get out of here. Get back Friday morning. Work hard. And let's try and get in the team. But what did they do? They were probably sitting there playing cards. Nuno was probably getting Harry Winks to make him his tea. You know what I mean? Then they roll out. They do what they can. Then they get back on the plane. They probably play a bit of Uno on the way home and then go home and sleep in their mansion. Wake up tomorrow morning, knocking on Uno's door. Oh, can I play against West Ham? Yeah, it's unbelievable. The guy is unbelievable. We now have to stop with this guy. Stop all the excuses. I'm calling out Alex here and other people. Stop. You're damaging the club by doing this. You are hurting the club. Because by you doing that, if you think the club do not have social media personnel that look all over social media, whether it's Twitter or all the platforms they do, they gauge what people see. When they see people defending the likes of Winks, when they see people defending the likes of Davies, that's why you see them in the press conference, because they're rolling out the good old Tottenham lads who will always, speak well and put on the big puppy face, feel sorry for me, and fans will lap it up. As soon as that Harry Winks interview came out, the amount of people, Harry Winks' emotional interview, I feel sorry for the guy. No, he should be apologizing to us fans for what he's put us through over the last few years. All the money I've had to spend on blood pressure tablets, watching his crap, and he just doesn't get it. And this is why he's never going to make it at the elite level, is because he doesn't get it. If you want to make it to the elite level, you're a player. You do not wait for people to come and tell you what you need to do. You already see what you need to do. You already identify the areas you need to improve on, and you dedicate yourself to improving it. A bit like what Son has done to get to the top of the game. A bit like what Harry Kane has done to get to the top of the game. He has them influences in the dressing room. He can see what it takes, dedication it takes. Why is he not doing it? Not moaning. Think about this. If you're Jose Mourinho, right, you've won the Champions League, you've managed Michael Ballack, you've managed Makelele, you've managed Ronaldo, you've managed Zlatan, you've managed some of the best players in the world, you've won Champions League and leagues and cups everywhere you've gone. And then you have Harry Winks walking in, knocking on your door, asking for game time. You know what I mean? Honestly, if I was Jose, I would have handed him my cup and says, it's empty, go and fill it now. You know what I mean? That's as much game time as you're getting. The most action you're getting is when you walk by that hall, you look out on the pitch and you keep going to the kettle. That's the only time you're seeing that pitch until you improve. It's that simple. I'm fed up with the guy. He has to go. January, he has to go.
He's the definition of a silver spoon player.
Again, there is a bit of a bigger picture to this, and I will get onto it because I think that question is rolling around.
There it is.
Okay,
I think he's the definition of a silver spoon.
Very quickly add on to this to kind of run up with this, especially with Harry Winks. When you look at Harry Winks and these Ben Davies, and they're talking about the obstacles we face and the challenges, Phil will know this player very well that I'm about to bring up. Jack, you may have heard of him or known your history about him. David, you certainly would have heard of him. To me, one of the most inspirational men that I've seen play for Tottenham and probably in England, Gary Mabbott, who played with type 2 diabetes and had to have insulin shots every single game, who had his eye socket fractured from John Fashanu, who literally had to do with so much to get through a game and did everything and bled everything for Tottenham. He put everything on the goddamn line. And you have people like this. And you got to remember, Gary Mabbott back in the day would have been on good money, but nowhere near the money that these players are on today. And you look at someone like Gary Mabbott, who during COVID spent thousands upon thousands of hours calling the vulnerable people during COVID, spent hours, whether you were 15, whether you were 93, whether it was an hour phone call or 20 minutes, just spent hours talking on the phone to everyone to make sure everyone felt. This is what a Tottenham captain and a Tottenham great represents. And we've gone all the way from that to
Dumb and dumber.
I don't think the A team and B team not mixing is good. And I know I'm Spurs and I'm not happy and I'm going to do all I can. I mean, how can this be allowed?
I don't know, Brian, especially because he's exactly my age as well. I mean, Harry Winks, that's probably why I have such a disdain for him. He's literally, I would have been in that academy with him, if I was any good. I mean, he would have been the guy that I would have supposedly been looking up to. So that's the worst problem. But Jerome here with the super chat, and great comment, Brian. He says, our recruitment is so hit and miss. We keep looking for cheap deals to replace quality players. Daniel Levy is to blame that we have not replaced Moussa Dembele or Eriksen. I couldn't agree more. We clearly lack that creativity. No, it absolutely falls on the shoulders of Daniel Levy. It absolutely then, you go further down the line, further down, the pyramid of it all. Then it also falls on Steve Hitchen for being, somehow his little, I don't know, it's like his favorite little friend or something like that he's kept around in order to never replace these guys. Some of the players that we've even brought in since then, they've never checked out their attitude. They've never checked out their mentality and what it means to play for a club like ours. They've also given, new contracts, Daniel Levy to these players that we're talking about. And then some of these players have checked up on. Harry Winks, I think, is on something like 90 grand a week. I think Ben Davies is on around 80 grand a week and things like that. It's just there's enough said for that, Jerome. There's enough said about that, Jerome. But David, anything to say to Jerome here? I mean, obviously it always stems from the top because Daniel Levy and Hitchen are the ones that have replenished the contracts and are paying these guys, top dollar in order to even say some of these horrendous shit.
Look, on the macro level, of course it's Daniel Levy, and Enoch, 100%.
Here we go.
On a micro level, look, you do have to hold players accountable for their actions. Look, when you are missing, when Moussa Dembele was sold and Eriksen was sold, surely between them there should be some problem solving to kind of get around the situation. That hasn't happened. But look, at the end of the day, we're sitting here right now, we're talking about Dele Alli not on form. But Dele Alli's not on form because we never played Christian Eriksen. Christian Eriksen was key to Dele Alli's form. Dele Alli was making runs off Harry Kane, and that's when you were seeing the best performances from Dele Alli. You look at Moussa Dembele. Look, I'll be honest with you, it was always going to be an impossible pass. You were never, ever going to find another Moussa Dembele, ever.
Yep.
He should take the ball from one end of the pitch to the other, while it was like watching kids on a bouncy castle jumping into each other. And they were just absolutely bouncing off the guy.
He could carry all his groceries while holding off all the players. Always
going to be impossible to replace Moussa Dembele. But what they could have done is got in at least two midfielders that would complement what we're missing when he goes. One that is a deep line playmaker. He can get on the ball, can pass it, spray it side to side. Because if you don't have someone who can carry it, you need someone who can keep hold of it. And then you get someone else in who can carry the ball. And you make up for it that way. It hasn't been done. No, Daniel Levy wanted to entrust concrete wall. Moussa's a slow coach who cannot control the ball or kick a ball. Literally, all you can say to that guy is go out there and run through him. That's all you can say to him. Then you put Harry Winks in beside him, who just clearly is not at the level of a deep line playmaker. He's not good enough. So, look, the reason why we're in this situation is macro level, which is the board, which is the bigger on the bigger scale. And in the smaller scale, you also have to hold the counters and the players accountable for the shit performances they're putting on the pitch. Okay,
and their lack of desire to improve even.
Yeah, but that's the thing. But okay, Daniel Levy hasn't got in the players. But where's your pride? Where's your sense of wanting this to win, die for the 3 points, to be the very best you can be? Sometimes things in life go against you. It doesn't mean you fold like these players and make the excuses all the time. You have to stand up, keep plowing on to get through to the good times. And these players haven't done it. But on a bigger scale, you're always looking at the owners, 100%.
Big up, Jerome. Quick replacements I would give for those guys. I think Moussa Dembele, impossible to replace. Like David said, they don't grow on trees. Bruno Guimaraes would be one. And I would say even Daichi Kamada we could go after as maybe a bit of a Christian Eriksen replacement. But big yourself up, Jerome. Really appreciate that super chat. And also great comment as well. Nigel Gates saying last Euro game we had 9 internationals and the captain was blaming the pitch for being a shit team. He spends too much time playing with himself. Nigel, really the fact that, and David even said that, going into that test match, this team should be plenty good enough. There are 9 internationals on that pitch. There sincerely are. And it's actually ridiculous when you think about it, because Dele Alli used to be the sensation of England, used to be practically, back then he was the Jude Bellingham, you probably would say. He was the guy that everybody was saying was going to be the one for the future, the one that was going to be leading this England team into great things. Look at him now. Harry Winks, everybody thought, what a fall from form that guy's had. Ben Davies, I don't even understand how he's a Wales international. I really bet there is someone out there. I'd probably would replace, who's that other guy, Ashley Williams, I think from a long time ago. I think he's probably 45. I would probably take him instead of Ben Davies at this rate, instead. But really, Nigel Gates, I couldn't agree more. And really, probably Winks is spending too much time playing with himself instead of improving his own game, David.
Yeah, it's
Nigel.
I just don't understand it. Look, it just goes to show where at the club, look, we've accepted mediocrity. I'm going to get onto it, but they've accepted mediocrity and they're affecting everything else around them with that exception of mediocrity. Well, big up
Nigel Gates.
See you, my man. Let's get this one to Philip.
Philip, is this the most frustrated the last 2 years? Enoch and Levy, you felt supporting Spurs. Is this the most frustrated you've been maybe, in the last 2 years, Philip? Is maybe was last year worse than this, or is this year worse?
No, I'll tell you, there's been not like supporting Spurs for as long as I have. There's been a lot of frustration over the years, but it passes usually fairly quickly. Now, I'll expand the word frustration a bit. Worry would be another word I'm going to use here, right? There have been 3 occasions in my supporting Spurs years that have really concerned me. First one was the year we got relegated in 76, 77. We came back up by the skin of our teeth that season, the following season. And if we hadn't come straight back up, we would never have seen Ozzy Ardiles or Ricky Villa at the Lane. So that was that. We came as close to Southampton hitting the crossbar on the last day of the season. If that had gone in, we had another season in Division 2. God knows what would have happened, right? Second one, was the time when Irving Scholar nearly bankrupted the club at the 1991. And Alan Sugar was the unlikely saviour that came in. Oh, and thank God for Sugar at that time, because otherwise it would have been Robert Maxwell.
Yep.
Who knows what would have happened then. So, right, bring us onto the forward. Because of the actual, every move that Spurs players make is on social media now. Every move Spurs talk about, you read about it. So, yes, at the moment, this particular season is the most frustrating that I've gone through, because we're sitting here tearing our hair out, wondering what's wrong with our club. There is something rotten in the whole center of that club, and I think, like, I don't normally place any value on what the Sun comes out with, but they've got a story going today that might just have some truth in it. That the fact that the 11 players that played in Vitesse were kind of annoyed had been cut away from the first team because they knew they had no chance of playing on Sunday. So there might be an element of truth in there that Nuno has now unwittingly probably divided the club.
Yeah, I mean, but he didn't know there'd be that many, grown men that'd be throwing their toys out of the pram. He probably didn't know there'd be that many grown men throwing toys out of the pram.
They're professional footballers who are earning big money. And if their professional pride is hurt, let them up their performances and get back into the reckoning of the first team.
Some of these are also, and Ben Davies is a 28-year-old man.
I'm not going to bother with that. That's too much trouble. I just go to the press and start mouthing off about how badly we've been treated. That's bollocks.
And I just want to add to what Philip is saying. Like when he was saying, about Nuno unwittingly, maybe has alienated the team. But I've heard this before. They've done it with Jose. They've done it with Pochettino come the end and everything else. I've heard it too many times. And this probably will lead us on to the next section. But I'm just fed up with it. And there's a certain core group of people, which is the problem, because you keep seeing the same things. You keep seeing the same things why there's still some of these players left at the club, and it's not good enough. It's not good enough.
But big up JC, big up Nigel Gates, big up everybody as well. Big up Jerome, of course. Absolutely great question as well. Great comment there. Kuva99 saying Danny Rose is on Google looking up who Gel Clot is. I think that's what big up Kuva. As always, Kuva, I don't have any response for some of these. I really don't, but pick yourself up, Kuva. Again, also loved your super chat from before when it comes to their weeks and Ben Davies comments. Pick yourself up, Kuva. Jerome, Ben Davies, and Harry Winks are both disgraces to this club, making up stupid excuses for their mediocrity. Højbjerg, after the win at Newcastle, said it was okay, but still have to improve. That is a player and a role model still to this day. Yeah, Dave.
Can I just read out Ollie Skip's comments?
Yeah, I think you mean after the West Ham match.
Huh?
After the West Ham match, right?
Yeah, you just give your comments out. Why I just grabbed them here. You just give your comment to Jerome, and then I just want to give Ollie Skip's comments.
Jerome, I couldn't have been more touched, honestly, by what Højbjerg said after that match, especially. I think that was the Aston Villa match, actually, that he said that. He said in front of the home crowd. He said in front of Spurs TV as well. He was just practically saying, listen, it was a decent performance. It was okay. I'm not, too flustered by it, but he said we still need to do more. And he even said as well, there's a lot of reckoning that still needs to happen after the North London Derby defeat. And he was not satisfied, didn't think that all was repaired. He doesn't know that all is repaired. He simply understands Højbjerg. And again, somebody that, isn't from our academy, someone that, has come from other clubs, who is, only, again, practically played at this club for what is it now, barely even a year and a half when you think about it. The guy is still to this day, more of Tottenham Hotspur, more bleeds that blue and white than anybody else in this club. And that's the real sickening part about Ben Davies and Harry Winks. And I couldn't agree more. I was actually touched by what Højbjerg said, Jerome, after that. I really was, because it showed me that this guy, he knows that, still so much needs to be repaired. He still knows that there's a lot that needs to be reckoned with in terms of these shocking performances in the London derbies. To absolutely, Jerome. And also, he's a huge role model. He's a player for me. I absolutely love Højbjerg. But David, you have a comment on Ollie Skip's mentality in comparison to these guys, after the West Ham defeat.
Yeah, and look, it kind of rounds off this whole segment, absolutely perfectly, because we've all sat here speaking about accountability. We've all sat here complaining about and moaning about their words in the press. And some people might be sitting there going, you know what, you're giving out about. Now, just think about what we spoke about, their exact words, and now compare them to someone that's, in Ben Davies' case, 8 years his junior. Now listen to the words this guy speaks and get the vast difference in tones in the way they're speaking. So Skip, we're really disappointed in the manner we conceded, he admitted. We knew before the game that they'd be strong from set pieces and that there were things we could do better for the goal, myself included. Accountability, just note that. I don't think there were too many chances for either team, and I thought we were in control, especially in the first half. You know they are going to have a few counterattacks with the pace that they've got up front, but it's a goal that's disappointing, and we need to look at the area and where we can improve. Improvement is always the name of the game, and we now move on into a crucial run of fixtures, with Burnley up next in the Carabao Cup on Wednesday night before we host Manchester United on Saturday. We'll have to look back because there are areas we can do better, Skip added. We had a lot of possession, but perhaps we didn't feed the strikers enough. A lot of things to work on. Now, you listen to them words where you have accountability, things that he can do better, things that the team can do better. He notes all the games that are coming up and the importance, right? You know, and that they need to improve. He notes improvement. He notes that the manager told them what the dangers were before the game and they didn't execute and they need to do better. Now, compare that to Ben Davies blaming the football pitch, the referee, the atmosphere, right? And then Harry Winks complaining about game time. Now, compared to what Ollie Skip, now, is there any wonder Ollie Skip has had a chance to come through the academy, go out on loan, come back, still get into the first team before Harry Winks can? Is there any wonder when there's a guy there that is constantly telling you he looks at himself on how to improve better? He doesn't have to be waited told. He already knows. As soon as the game's over, he already knows. He talks about accountability, how to do better. Do you hear any of that from Winks and Davies after their two games? So we need to do
responsibility.
No
responsibility.
No, we didn't hear about them talk about we need to do better. We need to do this better. The manager said this before the game and we didn't execute it. None of that. Excuse. Skip comes out, fronts it up, owns it, and you know, and that's why he's in the team compared to Harry Winks and Davies.
And Højbjerg said the same thing after we won. Højbjerg said the same thing after we won. He said, we still have to improve. We still have to be better. It's just two different spectrums, Jerome. Absolutely two different spectrums, two different mentalities when it comes to players. And Jerome, I couldn't agree more. And also thank you for the big one as well, Jerome. Also really big yourself up. And I couldn't agree more with those comments. Tottenham Tantrum says, Levy reminds me of Mr. Bean running around with the turkey on his head. Big up, Philip and Brian. Great panel. Come on, you flat cap army. Come on, you Harris army. Come on, you boys in green. Come on, you girls in green. I mean, Philip and Brian, you know, Dermot was definitely recognizing the class that Brian definitely has last night on the fan show. And then also I know Dermot, he absolutely loves Philip as well. But I mean, Levy, is he maybe a Mr. Bean kind of like character? Is that even being too nice to him? What do you say, Philip?
Rowan Atkinson will sue be compared to Daniel Levy. You know, Rowan Atkinson likes to put himself as a clown. He doesn't want anyone else being more of a clown than he is. And Levy definitely is more of a clown than he is. So expect a lawsuit in the morning.
Impersonator. Yeah.
No, it's a great comment. It really is. I can just see that episode of Mr. Bean now. Yeah, I can imagine. There should be a few Spurs fans who turn up now to protest wearing turkeys around their heads, you know. Daniel Levy's name printed on them.
Is that the problem, Brian? He's being too much of a clown impersonator and Mr. Bean isn't having it?
Listen, I mean, this guy, I've been waiting for me to get an easy question in because I've been waiting to tell. There's someone that mentioned this story. I've got two stories about how much of a bastard this man is. Just when he thought he can't stoop any lower, this man has managed to do it. Now, these stories are old, but first of all, before I do that, there's someone that's just come into the chat that's a great supporter of all the channels, and it's his birthday today. So I've been talking to him on Facebook. So Cole Simpson, very, very happy birthday, my brother.
Happy birthday.
So I
Everyone
just
wish
want to get
Carl
that
a
out
happy
now.
birthday, Harris Army. Spam it in the chat. Happy birthday to Carl. Let it hear him. Let him know it. Let him know it. He can't get away with it. There you go.
The two stories I want to tell, I mean, I posted them both on my social media today, or on my Twitter. Someone mentioned it in the chats about Brad Friedel. Has everyone heard about the Brad Friedel story and the Luka Modric story? We all heard that story, yeah? I mean, how far?
Yeah.
I mean, £800 out of your pocket, out of your wage packet. He goes up to Daniel Levy and says, "Why is there £800 missing?" Oh, that's for the amount of shirts you gave away throughout the season. Well, who does that to a goalkeeper that's leaving the club and leaving the country? And then when Dynamo Zagreb wanted 2 Tottenham shirts in the Luka Modric transfer, Daniel Levy took them out of the transfer fee. So instead of it being 26 million or whatever it was, he took 2 Spurs shirts out of it and charged 29,999,000. I mean, how can we even do?
In a way, Brian, do you actually admire the tightness in some sort of way? You have to.
Do you know what? No, it's not even. Mate, it's not even that. Do you know what it is? It's that he hasn't even got the balls to say to Friedel, "Listen, there's going to be 800 deducted out of your pay packet. Thanks for your service. I know you're retiring from football and you're going back to America, but I'm docking you 800." But where in your contract does it say if you give out X amount of shirts, I'm going to start charging you for them? It's like, wait a minute. You're giving me my uniform to work. I don't wear the same shirt every single game. And funnily enough, when it's my last season, people like me and Van der Sar might want to exchange because you're charging me £800. You're docking it from what? I haven't even got the balls to say it. And can you imagine? I mean, let's face it, when you go to Croatia, and Croatia are waiting for their money transfer or Western Union or bank transfer, and they're expecting a nice lump sum of 30 million or whatever the fee was. And then they see the cost of 2 Spurs shirts missing out. Like, what the hell has gone on here? And it's like, you know what? It's like he charges us the highest shirts, he charges us the highest season tickets, and because he's not making enough money from the people that still give money to this moron, he starts deducting players. I mean, what the hell is the world coming to?
I don't even know if penny pinching is nice enough to call him that. I mean, penny pinching is an understatement at that rate, honestly.
I don't even know. If anyone hasn't seen the story in the chat, go onto my Twitter and you'll see quite a few Daniel. I broke the. It's an old story anyway, but I did the Brad Friedel one first. And then when it came to the Modric one, I said Brad Friedel's story, embarrassing, shocking. Hold my beer, Luka Modric story. And then I mean, it's just I don't. I mean, do you know what you kind of find things. It gets funny now because you look at it and it's like, we know what he's doing on the pitch, or lack of on the pitch. We know what he's doing with our money. It's not going towards us. And now these stories start resurfacing again that he's charging players for swapping shirts.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I mean, this guy.
I don't even have an answer for it. I don't even know that someone could actually stoop to that level, Brian. I actually sincerely don't. I genuinely sincerely don't. And Dermot, pick yourself up. Yeah.
If it was me, Jack, I'd be sitting there. Thank God I'm not him. Jesus Christ. What I'd like to do is, do you remember that show Quantum Leap? I'd like to go back in time to where he's just about to sign the contract and literally throw him out the window and go, there you go, off you go, my friend. See, go do. Start your life from there, and we'll crack on.
I think it went further, Brian. I think it actually went further, where Daniel Levy probably charged some players for having too many Cokes on the plane, or maybe too many bites to eat.
He probably
or
charges
like
them the
that.
petrol money. Like an Uber, he's like, right, we're going to Holland now. That works out at this amount of fuel. I'm going to deduct this. Mate, oh my good God!
See, Michael O'Leary got all those ideas from. He must have gone to the same school as Daniel Levy.
Yeah. You're right there.
But big yourself up, Dermot. Really big yourself up. A great comment. Thank you for also recognizing this great panel below David and I. Really big yourself up, Dermot. Thank you for the respect that they deserve. And Faz Radfart saying, "Hey, he's our man. Get behind him to win the Golden Boot." Faz, I couldn't agree more. He's already leading, this club so far. Of course, maybe they were against maybe lesser sides, but he's the top goal scorer at the moment, as well. And also, when you do think about it, I think he will eventually start firing. It's just kind of like an old car. You just got to turn it on a few more times and eventually will get going. But big yourself up, Faz. Tim Man 007 saying, "We are moaning now, but unless we do something with the owners, it's going to get really bad." Respect to Brian and calling out Levy from years ago. Can't believe some fans still accept this sort of mediocrity. No, Tim, man, I couldn't agree more. I really couldn't agree more. And that's why I've said Brian has absolutely been the knight in shining armor. He's been the cult hero. He's been the one that has called it from the beginning as well. And he has also been someone that has shown up and flown across the fucking planet in order to speak his mind when it comes to Levy, when plenty of people, to a degree, maybe had not a lot going on their Sunday, didn't have a lot going on that day, and they still maybe didn't feel like they needed to go down and hear their voice heard. I think it just speaks to the fact that Brian, at the end of the day, he's a man of his word, and he's spoken his truth, and he's given his truth multiple times over multiple years as well. And I couldn't respect him more for that as well, just flying across the fucking planet to do that. But it just speaks to the fact that, some of us, we think for me, it feels geographically impossible to do it. And even then, Brian, you've shown to me that it is. You can fly across the planet and take that time off in order to do that. And just then even shows to us, even in North America, that it is possible. No matter what the case is, you can get over there and you can speak your truth and hear your voice heard. And again, there are people that are very close to the stadium, even that decided not to do it and, thought it was too inconvenient. So it just says, at the end of the day, Brian has spoken his truth, and he's also practically shown it in every way he physically can. And yeah, Tin Man, respect to
I'll be
Tin.
doing it
Anything
again.
to say to Tin Man?
More,
Anything to say?
If honestly, when I go back to Canada next Friday, and I swear to God, if things get worse, and let's say it embarrassingly happens or something major happens, I will be on a flight back. I will be on a flight back to come back and protest because I like I said, I am going to die trying. I am going to absolutely, for people like David, Phil, yourself, and top Dermot, and all the other people that watch your show, and not just your show, all the channels, and people that aren't even on social media or this show, I am going to get back here as often as I can. And you look at it, and you got to remember when people, I have a very, very big luxury that whenever I want to come home and do this and protest, all I need to worry about is my flight. I have my parents' house or my sister. I'm in my old bedroom that I grew up in. I can always come back here at the drop of a hat. There's no hotel fees. There's no food fees. It's literally plain. It's like, at the end of Snatch when he goes, Avi, I'm coming to London. He has the drink. He's on the plane off. That's me. That's good to go. And I understand that so many people can't make it. But Dietrich, who's in the chat as well, we are taking the fight, or I am taking the fight to North America to go for Nike, Tavistock NFL. I'm in talks with people in Asia to go for AIA. There is going to be a big international thing brewing up, which I'm going to be spearheading with quite a few people, but really, and we're going to come to Ireland. Jack, I'll be in touch with you about America because obviously that's a huge part of it. But this ain't stopping. With this, the snowball effect is rolling down the hill and an avalanche is about to start. And the international fans, and even the people like Chris, who's in Newcastle, that can't get there. I'm sure there's a Nike town in Newcastle or something big where it's going to kick off. This ain't just London and outside the ground. So, guys, thank you for your support. I'm here to help for you guys as well. I'm not just here for it's Brian David, look at me, I'm the superstar. That's not what this is about. I'm here to represent not just myself and back my words up, but for everyone that can't get there. And believe me, Saturday, I am going to be going bat shit crazy because it's my last one. So there's going to be some fireworks from me on Sunday. Saturday.
Absolutely love
and
it.
Believe me,
big yourself up, Tin Man 007. Big yourself up, absolutely, brother. And also thank you for recognizing the man right next to me here in that regard. Jerome again here with another one saying, what are your views about there being, I have a great answer for this. What are your views about, especially since I'm a bit younger, what are your views about there being no statues of any kind or any legends at the stadium? This clearly shows how Enoch and Levy treat us like a business. My feeling is because we know that it's a property investment company, I think it's the fact that he knows if he puts a statue there, takes away from the property value, because we've already heard he'll take out 800 pounds away from a player, for giving away too many kits. That makes me think he would definitely go as far to probably, realize that maybe if he puts a statue there, it takes away from the property value. And also what we know with Bill Nick, what we know with Glenn Hoddle, we know with plenty of the players that have graced this club, Ricky Villa, Ozzy Ardiles, the players that have made this club. You think about it, he probably just thinks that they're too much of a harsh reminder of what this club used to be. As we said on the fan show, the foundations of this club, he doesn't want that to be there because it would be too much of a reminder of him that, there has been actually a club. And I think even Dermot said, and I forget where the quote said, but whoever great Tottenham legend said, there used to be a club over there, and that was in the 1980s. And I think if he put statues of players like that who have said, quotes about this team, quotes about this establishment, quotes about these owners, I think that would be too much of a harsh reminder. As much as Levy likes to plug his ears and, not listen to the noise around him, I think if he put a statue there, I think it'd be too harsh of a reminder for him. And as well, I think it also is just, to a degree, his stinginess just takes away from the property value of him. It takes away from the Levy land value. That would be my answer. And, hopefully, Jerome, that's all right for you, but that's what I think it is. I think it's a two-part thing. I think people like Bill Nick are just too much of a harsh reminder for him of what the club used to be and how far it's, gone, or how low it's gone since then. And as well, I think also it takes away from the property value, but big yourself up, Jerome, big yourself up. Tin Man 007 saying those stories from Brian, I'm convinced our players don't give 100% as they hate Levy as much as us, expecting us to see Levy in the dugout one day. I think he's honestly too bold to do that, probably, Tin Man, but you do hear stories like that from Brian, and you do maybe start to think that, this is probably why even, he was maybe in the Amazon documentary pretending to be, buddies around them in the canteen and whatnot, trying to make it seem like, they were all like friends and things like that. So Tin Man 007, I really couldn't agree more. I think that's where it comes from, is that's why he was trying to make it seem like, he's all buddy with them when it's literally not the case. They probably absolutely despise the guy. But then again, I would say Ben Davies and Harry Winks. They shouldn't despise the guy because, I mean, he's renewed their contracts for 80 and 90 grand a week. So they must love him. Dele Alli must love him. It's just probably the other players that are just looking at how much he's poisoning this club, Tin Man 007. That's what I would probably say. But David, what do you have to say maybe to this before maybe we move on to the next questions?
Yeah, no, look, he'll never have the balls to go to the dugout. You know what I mean? Look, he wouldn't. Look, the likes of Winks and Davies, of course they like him. Look, you seen the reaction to Winks in the documentary when Josie was coming in. He looked scared, he looked shocked. And no doubt, as soon as the cameras panned off, he ran up to Daddy Levy and, you know, please promise me you'll keep me. But look, I don't even blame Daniel Levy on this one. Well, I do blame him, but Steve Hitchen has to take a part of the problem. There was a rumor that came out not so long ago, actually, a while ago, that he was friends with the players. Now, if he's in charge of getting rid of these players and and bringing players in to replace them because they're not good enough, like, you know, what's going on? He's not going to get rid of his friends, is he? You know, no wonder why some of these guys are still here. It's just lack of accountability from all over. Look, there's tons of stories. You know, I encourage everybody to go and listen to ex-Spurs players and people from around the club on podcasts and stuff like that, because there's a lot of stories like that out there about Daniel Levy and stuff like that. There's tons of them. Harry Redknapp.
Yeah, he sent Soldado over on Ryanair when he came over.
That's right.
Came over on Ryanair
on EasyJet.
But look, we're going to keep kicking on. We take this last super chat, and then because we do have about half an hour, 40 minutes left, because Jack is heading out for dinner tonight with the missus, you know, just
with the in-laws. With the in-laws.
So, guys, after this, we're going to start plowing through some more of the questions, because believe it or not, we're actually only 2 questions deep. Dave Rayball says, Spurs fans have inspired me more than Spurs at the minute. Yeah, look, at the end of the day, I'm always going to try and be optimistic. I'm always going to try and put smiles on people's faces and, get them up for the next game. And, look, there's so many Spurs fans out there with so much intelligent things to say. Great sayings, great quotes, and they really do inspire everybody. And look, we just have to keep this wonderful community together, David. We really do. It's an amazing community that we have here. I just wish the club now could become a part of it, to be honest with you. But look, everybody out there, make sure you are smashing that like button. There's only 80-something likes, and there's over 200 in the house. So make sure you obliterate that like button. If you are new, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Big push for 4.5K is on. And look, we are going to keep getting everybody's comments up as best as possible. Do not worry about that. But feel free, like so many others, to get your super chat in and get to the very top of the queue. But look, Jacko, let's take it away.
Let's take it away. And if you have enjoyed this show, 209 people in the building now. If you have enjoyed this show, please hit that subscribe button down below, and also hit that notification bell to never miss another Kinnicky Answer Me after this one. So you never have to miss it. It's always usually around the Tuesday, Wednesday period. And so you just know, midweek, nope, miss this. It's Kinnicky Answer Me time. I can't go out like me right now. I can't make dinner reservation. Sorry, it's Kinnicky Answer Me time. So there you are, everybody. Please hit that subscribe, especially with this many people in the building. And please hit that like button as well. But guys, we are going to move on to the Nuno situation. Nuno thought that Spurs played better than West Ham throughout the last match. He thought we controlled the match, controlled the position, created more chances. And also he thought, we even had plenty more possession. And, when you do think about it, West Ham, they played almost with their entire team behind the ball, 11 men behind the ball at plenty of stages of the match. Do you kind of agree with him, or you disagree? Were West Ham simply lucky? Or maybe is there something else at play here? I mean, Philip, I'm going to go to you first.
No, they weren't lucky. I mean, okay, we might have had a fair bit of possession, but what did we do with it? How many shots did we have in the second half? None. I don't know. Maybe
is that him just taking us to being kind of stupid, or taking us for granted? Or
I think maybe he should sit a little bit higher up in the stand to get a better view of the game, because he doesn't appear to have been watching the same game that I was. You often hear of managers going up into the stand during the game to get a more broad, because when they're standing on the touchline, they can't see the whole game. They're too flat. They want to go up a bit higher and see it. But no, I wouldn't agree that West Ham were lucky. Okay, that game could have gone either way. Possibly, if we'd have scored in the first half, we may have gone on to win the match. We didn't. They did. End of story. It's just another excuse, in my opinion. I don't think we deserved. Okay, it wasn't like an Arsenal or a Chelsea or a Crystal Palace that we absolutely didn't even deserve to get a cup of tea at halftime. We deserved more from the game. Maybe a draw would have been a fair result, but certainly West Ham in my opinion, had a much better game plan than us.
Yeah,
and they executed it. Okay, they got a goal that should not have been scored. I mean, if Harry Kane had been awake, he would have stuck his leg out and deflected that ball before it got to what do you call him? The guy that scored.
Antonio.
Yeah,
Antonio. Yeah, but you know, it's. I mean, at that stage, I expected, right, we've got 15 minutes to go. There's going to be a Spurs onslaught for the last 20 minutes. No substitutions till the 84th minute.
Yeah.
That speaks volumes. He should be making, the minute that ball hit the back of our net, the subs should have been on. They weren't. It took him 15 minutes to react. By then, too late.
I mean, then Brian, what about for you then? What could have the players done better? What could have Nuno done better, maybe in order to actually get something out of that match for you?
Well, 9 of the players could have turned up to help the other 2.
Yeah,
that would have been a great start. If basically we played our formation was 0-1-1-0-0 because we only had a centre defender and a central midfielder who actually did anything in that game. Listen, Ryan Mason. If I couldn't get to sleep at night when Ryan Mason was in charge, I just put on one of his press conferences. I was asleep in 5 minutes. They were that bloody uninspiring. And if I don't listen to Nuno, because if I hear we've got to work one more time, because if he's saying we've got to work and this is what they're working on, I've got no idea what's going on in that training ground. They're probably playing hide and seek around the training complex, in all honesty. But that's what they're probably doing. Can you find me peekaboo and all this nonsense? Harry Winks can just hide behind like one brick. I don't know what they're doing. I listen. I'm not Nuno in. I'm not Nuno out. And the reason I'm not Nuno out is because I don't know who the hell is going to come in.
Just put your comment in.
Yeah.
I just don't know who the hell is coming in. I've got no idea. I'm sick. His press conferences, and David was saying it yesterday. I think it was you, David, or it might have been even on when you were on Paxton Road before, when you were saying honestly, it's so uninspiring. Everything he says is just ridiculous. There's nothing. There's no. It's so, and he comes in like he said. That's what you said there as well. You may not like the media. Well, like David said, we all have parts of jobs we don't like, but we have to do them. And you got to remember when Pochettino first came, he was still speaking Spanish in his Southampton job and had his translator. And the first thing that the parasite said was, "No, you speak English. This is Tottenham Hotspur. You speak English, and it's a big part of your job. No matter what happens, media now and social media and these press conferences, a huge business. To me, the only time these were like big business in sport was like when it was a big boxing match or something like that, where there could have been fireworks or whatever. But this has become, through the Premier League and through the build-up of the money in football, the press conferences are everything. And we've got our 10th choice manager or 9th choice, whatever, and the players aren't going to be inspired by, oh, well done, we're so lucky to have got our 8th or 9th choice. Well, you've got to come in and start showing, because they're already, I mean, they don't need any more excuses, but when it's like, hey, here's your new manager who's only our 9th choice, that's what we're getting. They're like, well, what the hell? Well, yeah. He's so uninspiring. But again, with this, I can't see who we're going to get in. But again, I keep saying, if we'd got him at the beginning of this whole manager search, or even half of the time, so let's say, so it took 73 days. Let's just say it took 30 days. Or
let's say we
days.
got him in July. Yeah.
Yeah. Then he would have had longer time with the team. And don't get me wrong. I know it was the Euros and the Copa America and COVID and whatever. But he would have more time to get his feet under the table within settling in at Spurs. He would have more time to work on the training pitch with the players he wanted. He would have more time to talk about with Paratici about what he wanted. And we keep doing this. We keep blaming the manager. Exactly. Every other job, in every other walk of life, you're set up for success. Well, Tottenham, you're not.
Yeah,
and
set up to be
I can't. I'll be the biggest hypocrite if I start blaming Nuno, because it's not his fault. And whoever comes in is going to have the same thing. Having the same. It's literally Groundhog Day. It's Groundhog Day. It's Groundhog Day. It's Groundhog Day. But yeah, that he's just. I don't listen to his press conferences anymore. I can't. I mean, even with match of the day, I'll watch the game, and even if we win, I skip the interview part and just go to when, like, the post show when they do the analysis, because it just bores me.
Yeah,
it's just blah 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 blah.
I couldn't agree more, honestly, as well, though. Maybe I would say if anybody needs to fall asleep, just watch how many times Romero and Eric Dyer passed it back and forth between themselves. It'd be like counting sheep, probably. But Kuva99 saying, I think we tried to throw Winks out of the club, but we can't fit him through the door when he only goes sideways, backwards, sideways. No, absolutely. You can't walk in through the door straight. Can't walk in vertically. Can't walk in forward, Dave. You know, he can only try. He probably doesn't even know how to go through a doorway, Dave. Absolutely doesn't. But Kuva, pick yourself up. Absolutely love it again. There it is, the comedian of the Harris Army. But big yourself up, Kuva. Thank you very much as well for all the comments and all the super chats as well, Kuva. Big yourself up. And again, you always bring a bit of a chuckle to David and I. You always do. I love that one. I love that one. And again, you know, I still to this day will always remember, you know, the kidney transplant one to this day. Kuva, I always will. Jerome saying West Ham were no better than us. They just parked the bus but we're better. They just parked the bus, but we're better than us on set pieces. Yet with all the possessions in the world, we could not have been able to score. Yeah, that's actually kind of the case. You know, I think it could have just, we never played well at all, but I think it probably, maybe on merit, you just say it ended 0-0, maybe is how it should have ended, Jerome, when you think about it. Probably should have just ended that way, but then that we still probably be having the same complaints. We'd still be having, you know, the same kind of a reaction to it when you really think about it, Jerome. That's what I would probably argue, you know. And again, David stressed it on the preview while I was gone. This is the best set piece team in the entire league. You know, they basically make bread and butter out of it when it comes to it this season as well as last season. We all know that that's how they were going to score if they became desperate, and they were desperate to score, and that's how they did score. So it's not a fucking surprise when you think about it that way. And we clearly weren't ready for it. I think that says more about the players, though, because I really doubt that maybe Nuno, you know, he probably knew it himself, even that they were going to score that way. But I would probably argue it probably should just end in 0-0. But West Ham, at the end of the day, they know how to take their chances and they know how to be a bit luckier than us. And I think that's just because they work harder, they want it more, and they're more of a better team, a better unit, and to a degree, maybe a better run football club as well. I think we all know that as well. So all that maybe goes hand in hand.
I doubt any Spurs fan, you say Jack is quite right, but it's not something that any Spurs fan would ever dream of hearing about West Ham.
I can't believe I was saying it myself. I was doubting myself the whole time.
Yeah, you're right. You're dead right. But and we shouldn't be in a position where West Ham are better than us. Absolutely no way.
No, but Jerome, I completely agree. They parked the bus. There was 11 men behind the ball. They wanted a 0-0. They actually were asking for a 0-0 West Ham. But even though still, I said there are plenty of opportunities where we could have put in a much better final ball. We probably could have won 2-3-0 when you think about it, because there were actually quality chances at certain moments. We just couldn't put in the final ball as well. So 0-0 was probably more deserved. But at the end of the day, we got absolutely punished for not being able to take the game by the scruff of the neck, and also not doing anything in the second half as well, Jerome. Nigel Gates saying Spurs had no creativity, not enough shots on goal. Once they scored, they shut it down. Yep, that's absolutely right. And we all knew that the moment that goal went in, there was no chance of us coming back as well. That's the other thing as well. We didn't think that.
That's exactly what we did with Jose. It's exactly what we did with Jose. And when we're winning, we're like, oh, it's brilliant, it's brilliant, it's brilliant. When it happens on the other team, it's like, oh no, they're not playing well. They're holding the ball up. That's how bad it's become. Listen, West Ham being better than us, which I hate saying, has been coming. We have seen it coming. The substitutions that he doesn't make, that's not him. That's not Nuno. That was Jose. Well, not so much Jose. That was Poch. That was previous managers that were reactive rather than proactive. There are so many similarities, and West Ham knew how to piss us off.
Yeah.
And that's how you win a game of football. So, yes, we are all pissed off that we won, but West Ham played the game. They played us like a fiddle. And if we'd gone 1-0 up, you know we would have sat back. We know we would have sat back, and it would have been, oh, it's brilliant. Look at that, we held out. It can't be both ways just because it's West Ham, who I hate with a passion.
There it is. Yeah. And also, I think Carl Simpson as well saying, Jesus, Jack, saying that Sullivan and Gold looking like a better run club. We are definitely screwed. I kind of agree, Carl, and I'm starting to realize how dark of a hole we are finding ourselves in. And Nigel Gates, as well as Jerome, fantastic comments on the West Ham match. Fantastic comments on the West Ham match. I'm going to move on to the next one. Yeah, David.
No, just saying legend. Well, legend.
Yeah, what a legend, Nigel. Absolutely, as well as Jerome here. Big yourselves up. But Carl Simpson, I can't believe I said it. I really can't. I'm going to put that comment on screen here, and then I'm going to go to the next question. I can't believe I said it. I really can't. Going on to the next one, we're going to look at Hugo Lloris's quotes, and this might be a tough one to stomach, guys. He was saying after the West Ham match that, claiming our players cannot give up, but maybe there might be something more behind what he said. He said, we cannot give up. There are many games ahead of us, and we're going to try to improve individually and collectively. He said, we know that there are a lot of expectations this season, same as every season, on our shoulders, and the players have a responsibility to do their best. And when I see all the players, I think they are trying to do their best. But sometimes, he says, it does not work, but that is not the moment to give up. We need to carry on with good energy and positivity. Does Hugo mean something more by this, David? Are players maybe already giving up on the season? How do you feel about it?
I'll be honest with you. As soon as you hear about, not giving up at this early in the season, I'll be honest with you, it's worrying. There's no other way I can take this but worrying. We should not be talking about giving up. I just hope maybe it's Hugo Lloris, with a poor choice of words. I really do. But like when you hear about not giving up this early in the season, that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign. That tells me that there is problems in the dressing room. There's players that are not believing in the project. There's players that are not believing in what Nuno's trying to do. I'll be honest with you. You heard Hugo Lloris after the Zagreb game, kind of said the same things about it. And and the fact that it's this early in the season, it's absolutely worrying. It doesn't fill me with confidence whatsoever. Like what we should be saying is like, we need to do this better. A bit like what Skip was saying, we need to work on this, we need to improve on this. But when your thing is about players giving up, we can't give up this, yet. And I don't like it. It's not good. That suggests that maybe times will get even rougher this season before they get better. But it spells there's problems in that dressing room.
What are your thoughts then, Brian? Is he meaning something a bit different? Someone just put in the comments, which is maybe kind of clever. Maybe it's Hugo constantly hinting there are certain players in the squad he absolutely despises. What do you think? Is there something deeper behind those quotes, do you feel like? Or maybe we're just reading too much into it?
So first of all, I'm so annoyed David went first because I was doing a whole big thing about the Zagreb game and he just went, yeah, they did this. I was like, no. So just I'll piggyback off that and then go forward. But yeah, he came out with this after that embarrassing, humiliating, disgusting performance there. And that was what, March, let's say February, March last year. We're here, what? We're 8 months later and he's saying the same shit again. And do you remember what Jose said? Same new manager, same players, or whatever the phrase was. Yeah. And it's repeated itself again.
Same players, different coach.
Same players, exactly. Same players, different coach. There you go. Cheers, Jack. And here we are, not 9 months later, saying the same thing. And do you know what I hate with Spurs? And I hate it. We have to, apparently we do all things private, our transfer activity, but all the bullshit and gossip, we'll just bitch out to everyone. We'll have people like Harry Wiggs and all these people doing interviews, bad-mouthing the club. But we'll keep very, very quiet with transfers because we know we're not going to get them. But we are the biggest contradiction. We're like going asking kids if we can go to the prom, and it's like, okay, shh, I like her. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the worst is your captain doing it. Your World Cup winning captain. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this on your channel, but one of the things I've been lucky to do since I've been here is the sensational, or however you pronounce it, documentary. I got to watch it here because it's not available on Amazon in Canada. I don't know if it is in America. It certainly isn't in Canada. And there's a bit where Thierry Henry does an interview with him. And Thierry Henry talks about the Invincibles team and how they used to argue and fight and bitch and moan. And they got very physical at times during the Invincible season. And how Lehmann used to come in if they let a goal in and he'd be so pissed off. He's like, do you know what? It's all right that you've played brilliant football. You've scored 6 goals. There's your goal bonus or whatever. I've let a goal in. They used to bitch and moan with each other. But that's what breeds winners. That's what breeds firing people up. But literally, it literally comes to the point where we have a bad performance and we have people like this. Oh, I don't get to play with the first team and they've stolen my lunch money. And oh my God, the fans are being mean to me and going boo hoo hoo. And the grass is too long. And it's ridiculous. And the very, very fact, and I think this is why I'm getting, like you said, I'm getting so worried because you look at it as well. It's the last year of his contract. Does this sound like the man that's about to sign a contract? Does this sound like a man who's, whether I love Hugo, I think we all love him, but your captain should not be coming out. Gary Mabbott, I spoke about. You look at Danny Blanchflower, Dave Mackay, these people, Steve Perryman, I think I said it, but you go through the back end, and Phil will be able to mention a few more. What's his name? Gareth Roberts. You name these, they would not say shit. And if you said shit like this outside the house, bang, you're getting a slap in the dressing room no matter what, regardless. You are getting there is, again, it comes to no accountability, the acceptance of mediocrity. And because we live in this social media world, it's okay. But there's no one there with balls enough to go and say to them, listen, you keep your shit quiet. You do not breathe this because we are in a bad place. Tottenham Hotspur as a whole are an embarrassment right now. We all hate to admit it because it's our club and we love our club. We're embarrassing. Not only are we embarrassing at the moment, when my dad talks to me about Spurs, or even when I think about Spurs, I was growing up, even during the sugar, you'd be proud of the boys, you'd be proud of the club, you'd be proud of what they're trying to do. They would fight, even though we're trying to get mid-table.
There are only so many players we can be proud of now. There are only so many
exactly, and it's like it's absolutely right that there's players in there that need to go out, but because we don't sell them, and because we don't freshen up, and because we allow this, and because our parasite put such 40 million for Harry Winks, that means right now I'm 36 million, Phil's 38 million. So that's how much we're worth at the moment. If Harry Winks is worth 40 million, then me and Phil will go for 68 million as a combined unit, and we'll go do a better job for Spurs, because this can't be allowed to continue. Our club is rotten to the core from the top, and things like this with your captain coming out and saying this, who's won a World Cup, who's been to a Champions League final, who has been a great servant, and it's his last year, and this is now turning bitchy for him.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't.
And on Hugo,
it doesn't set the right tone for the club.
Well said, Brian. Really well said. Philip, what are your thoughts maybe on Hugo saying that players can't give up, maybe hinting at something a bit deeper, saying that, in fact, players have potentially already given up? Is this, for you, the classic, scenario with Hugo kind of coming out when it's most convenient for him, or is it maybe, him maybe saying the right thing? I mean, what are your thoughts on this? Does he mean something maybe much greater by these comments about players giving up?
If Hugo had just been with us a couple of years and maybe hadn't mastered the English language so much, I would say something might have got lost in translation. But Hugo's with us for 9 years now, and his English is as good as anybody's. It's very disappointing for the club captain to come out with statements 9 matches into a season, which there's probably another 35 matches to go, given cup competitions and whatever, to say that we're kind of throwing the towel in. Can't do that. It sounds to me like there's a guy who knows his time is up at Spurs, and he really doesn't give a shit. It's sad to say that, because I'm a big Hugo fan.
Yeah.
But it's disappointing to read that. Now, there is another train of thought you could read into it, where he's trying to G up the players and say, come on, lads, we're 9 games in. We can get better than this. We can do better than this. And we have to do better than this. But the pessimist will always look at it and say, oh, that guy's thrown in the towel. I don't think he has. Maybe he didn't quite mean to say it the way it came out. But it's certainly, he'd better off saying nothing than coming out with stuff like that. Because he could demotivate the rest of the squad. But bad enough as it is, without having the captain of the club coming out and more or less saying,
it's just too easy to read between the lines with that one. It's just too easy.
Well, he says, he's like the captain of the Titanic. We hit the iceberg, lad. You know what's going to happen next.
What comes
it's
next.
disappointing. It's disappointing, and it's symptomatic of. Isn't it quite strange that Winks, Davis, and Hugo came out with? If you look at their speeches, they're all kind of much of the same. There's no positivity about them. Yeah. It's negative. Yeah. We don't need negative. We need positivity, We need positivity in the squad. Actually, this is just completely nothing to do with it. I just thought of it now. Before I forget, I'll mention the funniest thing I saw today was that somebody came out with a saying that Mo Salah wanted to join Tottenham. Right? Then I read the next line because he wants to play against Manchester United again next week. Anyway, back to Hugo. Yeah, no, it's like I think the press office or whoever looks after the media training for the players is either on holidays or not doing his job, because the players should be tutored when they go out, express positivity about things about the club at all times, even if we're crap. Tell the world there's only a minor blip. We'll be back next week. We're not hearing that, you know. I'll give you, just to go back to Man United again. The Man United fans were thanking their lucky stars on Sunday that Roy Keane wasn't able to commentate on that game. Can you imagine what Roy Keane would have said about that performance? Be the same as if
Gary Neville would not be. It wouldn't be Gary Neville's response. It'd be very different.
No,
You're right.
It wouldn't be. Like there's guys like Graham Roberts who would again bleed Spurs blood. Must be horrified what's going on. Bill Nicholson and Jimmy Greaves. Anniversary of Bill's death at the weekend. Jimmy Greaves got buried. They must be spinning in their graves. Really. Yeah. You know? So all I say to Hugo is, like, Hugo, if we lose to United at the weekend, keep your mouth shut.
Let Højbjerg speak again. That's what I would say. Yeah. Just let Højbjerg
Let
start
the boys
speaking.
Let the Skips and the Højbjergs go out there. The ones that have something that thoughtfully and the defeat actually means something to them that hurts. Like a defeat should hurt so much you're not able to go out and talk to the press.
Yeah, no, and we saw that even to a degree from Sonny, where he was a loss of words. Yeah, definitely. Asama here saying Tottenham's done. Tottenham are now concerned with mid-lower table team, like a 14th position, can only win teams in that level, 14th to 20th positions. Europa Conference level is gone. I don't even know what to say, Asama. I mean, to a degree, I'd like to think that we'd be higher than 14th this season. I think I'm at a probably I see maybe a lot of people might be in your position with that, Asama. I'd like to think differently, and I am going to think differently. I think we're going to finish higher than 14th. Am I satisfied by that? No, I think that's the lowest bar in the world. And to a degree, we have actually done quite well against the teams in that 14th to 20th position so far this season. It just seems like in the London derbies, those are the ones that we really have struggled with. Some of the better teams in the league are the teams we've really struggled with. And I think the Europa Conference League at the moment is exactly our level, to a degree. So to a degree, I kind of disagree, but Asma, I think there are a lot of people that, might be in your position as well, though. So, but big yourself up. Thank you for giving your thoughts on it. Thank you for your honesty as well, Asma. But it's a great transition, actually, Asma, to the next question here, which is, why can't we perform well in London derbies, gentlemen? And Philip, I kind of want to go back to you, and then I'm going to go to Brian and then to David. But Philip, I want to get your thoughts on maybe just why you feel like what's gone wrong. Is it a mentality problem? Is it a coaching problem? Is Nuno responsible for this, for making sure that the players understand the importance of these matches? Or is it more the responsibility of the players? Basically, you just kind of have to pick one. Is it the players? Is it the coaches? I mean, maybe a mix of both for you. I mean, why can't we perform in these London derbies?
Like I think this is our worst run in London derby since the 1980s. I don't know the stats on that, but like it's 30 years ago since we had such a bad run in London teams against London teams. Like 4 out of 4 is takes some doing, and if Brentford do us, that'll be 5 out of 5. I put it. There's a number of things. I don't think the Nuno probably realizes the importance of London derbies to the Spurs fans. I mean, that team should be set up to go into London derby, no matter who it is, whether it's West Ham, Chelsea, Arsenal, all guns blazing. It's most of those teams, and especially West Ham's cup final. And it just seems that these teams wanted it more than us this season. Our players didn't seem to have any specific urgency in their game, especially, we had one good half against Chelsea, a moderate second half against Arsenal. At least we won the second half. Mm-hmm. Crystal Palace was probably brought on by the fact that Tanganga got sent off and we collapsed after that.
And we had no squad in general for that match, and Dele Alli at left wing.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was a bad team selection. So it's like these players have played London derbies before. I mean, this is go back to where you need the Eric Lamela factor. If Eric Lamela was playing in those games, I think at least 2 of those games would have had a different result.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, okay, Eric infuriated a lot of us with his bad passing and his right foot's only for standing on. But the guy would put himself about and put himself in the face of the opposition. And that inspires the players alongside with you. Can you think of anybody, okay, apart from maybe Skip, who played well, and Romero, that got in the West Ham faces on Sunday? I can't. You've got to set your stall out from the start. And that's why, moving slightly away from London derbies, that's why it's vital on Saturday against Man United that we get at them straight away. Because they're more vulnerable than we are at the moment. We've got to get at them. But going back to the London derbies, it's a mixture. If the players either don't understand or don't want to understand Nuno's tactics, they should realise that a London derby is the biggest games of the season, really. You know, they are the biggest games we have. And unfortunately, there's so many of them now. Really. You know, we could do with West Ham getting relegated again just to knock one of them off.
Now that Brentford's been added to the list.
Just leave Chelsea and Arsenal. And maybe Crystal Palace as well, you know.
Yeah.
But, no, it's got to the stage now where I'm starting to dread London derbies. Because are we going to go through the whole season without winning one? It could well happen.
I'm starting to think so as well. Maybe a lot of them have come away, though, this season. You know, I know Paxton Road said that earlier. David and I were on Paxton Road, by the way. Great channel. And David did say, I think as well as Shane was saying, you know, most of the games have come away. But David was saying the solution to this is, in fact, you know, maybe some of these players taking a Tottenham history test and being forced to pass, you know, getting a passing grade on it. And maybe then they'll understand the importance of these matches, Philip.
Like the new players coming in, you know, to them it's probably just another game unless they're taught otherwise.
Unless they're maybe paid a bit extra, or I don't know, to get compensated for it. What about for you, Brian? I mean, who's the culprit for maybe losing so many of these London derbies so far this season? Is it the players? Is it the coach? Is it just maybe Nuno not telling them, you know, the importance of it? Is that even Nuno's responsibility?
This is 1,000,000,000% the players. 1,000,000,000% the players. Now, I know from when players used to sign, it's not just at our club, it's at any club, but we're talking Tottenham, when you sign for Tottenham, the first thing you're told, especially if you're a foreigner, a foreign import coming in, is you now hate Arsenal. You don't wear red. The Arsenal game is the game. And they say Chelsea, West Ham, these games are the games you do not lose. These are the big ones. These are the ones where it really, really matters. And this is where you become a legend, or you can become a real scapegoat. And Ben Davies should be able to tell all of them by the crowd reaction and being mean to them at these games. These games, if you're in the Premier League, you know, listen, if you go to Italy, you've got the Milan derbies. You've got Juventus who hate AC Milan. You've got Napoli who hate Juventus. You've got Feyenoord who hate Ajax. You've got PSV that hate Ajax. Everywhere you go, there's all these hatreds. It's not like, oh, you've come to London, this is a brand new thing. In every league you go to, there are derbies and there are teams you must perform against. You must at least put in a performance against. And yes, the Premier League is the biggest league, and yes, there are a lot more London teams there than there are like. If you look at it, you've got Newcastle and Sunderland. As soon as you go to Newcastle or the other one, you hate Sunderland, you hate Newcastle. You go to Liverpool, you hate United, you hate everything. It's the first thing that is ingrained in you as soon as you join the club. They know full well, whether you don't even speak English, there's you know these games you turn up for. And at least giving a good account of yourself. And this is solely on the players. They listen, as we've all said, they're prima donnas. They get everything done for them. When they want a light bulb change in their house, they literally have someone from the club come around and do it because they don't want to risk getting an injury, like literally changing a light bulb. That's where we've got to right now. They can't even change a light bulb. And I'm not even being sarcastic there. It's the God's honest truth. Harry Kane's light bulb goes, someone will come from the club and change it because they can't risk Harry Kane getting on a ladder or reaching up and straining a muscle. And it's the cast iron truth. These players know what a London derby is. And you've got people, whether you want to hate Winks like we do, Harry Kane, Ollie Skip, even Højbjerg knows from being. These players know what these games mean and will tell them all week how big these games are, and they're doing this. This is 1,000,000,000% players.
I completely agree, actually. But David, what about for you before we get to these two fantastic people super chats here? I think you answered it earlier. Again, Packs from Road TV. Check out David's, other answer there. Check out their channel. I love that channel. But David, I mean, what is it? The players? Is it Nuno maybe being responsible for telling the players of this importance? I mean, who does it fall on for losing so many of these?
Look, ultimately, I'll be honest with you. The ones I'm putting most of the blame on is Harry Kane, Son, Dyer, Lloris, Lucas Moura. They know exactly what they're about. They know exactly what they mean to the fans. Then you have Reguilon. He's playing in his fair share. Skip, look, he's new to it, but he's turned up, so you can't even have a go at him. Romero turned up, you can't have a go at him. Ndombele, how long has he been here? He knows what they're about. He knows what that means to fans. It's just not good enough. It's not good enough. Look, after the last three, the squad should have got together. Someone in that squad should have pulled the squad together and said, look, no matter what, we do not go out and lose this one. We do not. We owe the fans. There would have been absolutely none of that. None of that this week. None of it whatsoever. Look, at the end of the day, it's the first games we all look for. As soon as the fixture list comes out, you look, when are you playing Arsenal? When are you playing Chelsea? When have you got West Ham? After that, then you look at Palace. When's Palace? These are the games you look for. Every single season the fixture comes out. They're the ones you get excited for. Yeah, you play the likes of Burnley, Leeds, and Norwich and all in between. Yeah, don't get me wrong, you get pumped for them. But they're only a precursor to the derbies. The derbies are the ones that matter the most. They're the ones that you want to win. And it's just a shame that these players didn't turn up. I also put the blame on Nuno, to be honest. He didn't inspire me against the West Ham game. Look, we were the better team. But it's not saying much, is it? Because we were absolutely shit. We barely moved around. So it's not saying much. I wouldn't be going, we were the better team, we're unlucky, because we didn't play well. When you don't play well, you don't deserve your luck. It's at the end of the day. What won West Ham, that was their squad unity. That's what won them the game, is they have more squad unity. Look, with these 4 London derbies, look, make no mistake about them. Palace was away, West Ham was away, Arsenal was away. I'm convinced we'll slap all of them at home. I think we will. But the thing is, as some of the experienced players in the dressing room, you pull the squad together, you let them know, look, it's going to be intimidating. Fans are going to be on your back. You're not going to have 60-odd thousand screaming your name. It's going to be screaming for West Ham, chanting for West Ham. They just didn't show up, man. Didn't show up. There was no leader out on that pitch. No one wanted it. There was no desire, no heart, no passion. As Spurs fans, we can accept losing a London derby. Hell, we can accept losing a North London derby, for fuck's sake. We have done it for years. But you go down fighting. And what's disappointing about this team compared to teams that I watched growing up is we always went down fighting.
The fight has gone
missing. Always gave it a go. We always tried to get back into the game. There was absolutely zero of that yesterday. It's not good enough. Look, it all boils down to the mentality. It boils down to the mentality of the players. How much do they relish a derby game? Me? You sent me out there? I'll be walking up. I'll be walking out smiling, using the West Ham fans and their shitty little bubbles, to motivate me, to drive me on. I'm relishing. I'm like, yeah, this is the stage I want to be on, in their backyard. I want to shut them up in their backyard. Not happening. It's not happening. They were defeated before they even walked over that white line. They were defeated. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. It can't keep continuing. At the end of the day, we've seen it time and time again, that these players, when there's an occasion, they will crumble. They will crumble and let you down. And that's why I'm talking about the Kane, Son, Dyer, Lloris. They've had big days out in cup semi-finals, cup finals, going for league titles. London Derby should be a piece of piss for half of these players. The London Derby should be a piece of piss for half of these players. It's not. It's a major problem, and it comes down to mentality and psyche. They were bet before they even walked out on the pitch. There's no desire, no heart, no passion, no leader in that dressing room to pull that team together and send them out there with a fighting mentality.
There it is. And so it seems like we've gotten mostly players, for the panelists here, and couldn't agree more. Lazy 8 with a super chat. Pick yourself up, Nick. It's good to see you, man. Hopefully you're doing all right with the busy work weeks that you've gone through. The guy did not look happy. He looked like somebody watching Spurs against West Ham the other night. I'll tell you that with the face he had at work that he sent me. But he says, sounds like Hugo is reflecting, and he's on the last question, he's saying it sounds like Hugo is reflecting on the last 2 seasons and is fed up with some people, not desperate not to repeat, but fearful that his term will end badly. That's a bit interesting, actually. David, do you want to maybe answer this one? I think I'm kind of actually a bit lost for words to this one. Actually, it's a good comment.
Look, spitting facts. Look, the thing is, you think Hugo Lloris and his legacy, because ultimately what a lot of Spurs fans will remember for is his last season. It's what sticks in most people's memory, And do you think he wants to sign out like this? Do you honestly really think he wants to sign off at Tottenham Hotspur like this? No, Hugo Lloris will want to sign off. He's been given the captain's armband. Look, the fans love him. He loves the fans, But the thing is, it is ruining his legacy. But like I said, it's so early into the season, and I heard the same things at Zagreb last season near the end of the season. There's 2 different contrasts here. And look, if you're basically what Hugo Lloris is telling us is, look, things still haven't changed. The right players basically haven't been. We haven't got enough players out. We haven't got nowhere near enough quality in to kind of impact the first 11, and that he's having to go around every day to try and pick everybody up and not get them to kind of quit on the season.
That's actually really dropped me actually to a degree, Nick. I didn't think about it that way because to a degree I was kind of slandering Hugo, but if I was in his position, I'd be thinking the exact same way, Nick. I really would be, where I'd be so depressed thinking that I have to, be ending my terms at Tottenham, my tenure, his testimonial and everything, just as depressing to think about it that way, that this is how it might all end for him. Really is sad when you think about it. Really is. And it only speaks to the man upstairs that hasn't given him the proper players, to bring in, to meet that mentality that he wants in the squad. So I couldn't agree more, Nick. And also hope you're keeping well, brother. Hopefully you're keeping well. Jay Taylor, he looks like he's fixed it, but Jay Taylor, thank you for all the support in the chat. Thank you for also continuing to give your thoughts in the chat. I really, if it wasn't so hectic tonight, Jay, we'd be able to bring up more of those comments on screen. So we really do appreciate it. And he says mentality, he's giving his answer to the London derbies. He's saying mentality, it's always been the same, not the right minerals, i.e. attitude. Poch and Redknapp, the only 2 who got the pros in the right direction.
Don't leave out what's the Dutch guy? Martin Jol. Don't leave out Martin Jol. Yeah. He brought us on the whole right direction.
He thinks it's a mentality, and he seems to think that a lot of it is on the players, but he's also pointing out it has a little bit to do with the manager as well. I couldn't agree more, Jay. I really couldn't agree more. And again, I don't really have much else to say apart that I think you're completely right. And I think that's a great way to look at it. There are only so many managers that have been able to also put their foot forward and making sure, even though these players should know, they still made sure that the players knew no matter what at the end of the day. So big yourself up, Jay. Really big yourself up. Faz Radford saying top 3 Deadwood to get rid. Winks, Davies, Doherty. That's going to be coming up later, Faz, for extra time. Don't you worry. That's coming up later. But for me personally, I think that's probably spot on. As many as the Deadwood list is so long, but if I only had 3, I think Delhi I might throw in there. But then again, though, like, God, that is a horrible list right in front of me. That is a horrible list right in front of me of useless players. So if I could maybe Faz, if I could push it to 4, I might, but maybe that's why you did 3, because you knew it was going to be a difficult one. So big yourself up, Faz. Big yourself up. And then Tottenham Tantrum saying, breaking, Dele Alli has been left out of Tottenham Hotspur's squad for the Carabao Cup tie against Burnley.
Please be true.
Well, I wonder if that got anything to do with his Instagram picture he posted and the feet, just pissing everybody off again.
Oh, maybe you mean with the girl from We Are Chelsea? The Only Way is Chelsea, or whatever it's called, that reality show. I mean, this honestly, this. I
just pray to God, Dermot, as well as Brian. Yeah, I really do pray to God. That would actually that'd be fascinating. Maybe he's going for the more of a starting 11 from the West Ham match. He's going for a stronger team, because I said this before. Again, on Paxton Road, I'll plug it again. I did say, everybody, they do need to keep maybe the importance of these cup matches, because I think that will save Nuno's job. As going far in the cup will save his job, no matter how bad the league form gets. I think if he does his best in the cups and gets us very far in those and keeps us in all the cups, that will save his job. I think if you were just thinking about his tenure at the club, that's what he needs to do in order to keep his job. So I really think, sitting down Dele Alli would be the right move for me.
I just want to ask Dermot, do you know if it's true injury or because look, if it's not true injury, that tells me that Nuno thinks there's a better chance of this squad winning tomorrow without Dele Alli than there is with Dele Alli, and that's why he's making that decision.
Bingo.
He hardly wants him for the United match. He's not stepping them down to play against United.
Oh, Philip, don't do it. Don't do it to me, Philip.
Don't think about that kind of way, Philip. Don't think about it that kind of way. But we are moving on. Yeah, sorry, Philip. Sorry.
It's I'm sure that's not the reason. It looks to me as if Nuno has now had enough. That's it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he's had enough early. He's had enough early.
Yeah. And Jack, just before we move on, there is something I want to say. I actually should have said this earlier. But look, it kind of when you're Ben Davies, when you have Doherty, when you have Sanchez, when you have Harry Winks, right? They've all been around here a while. They've all accepted their backup position, right? They all accept their backup. Now, the reason why results like Colchester, Pacos, Vitesse, the reason why results like that happen, right? And it continuously happen. And the reason why they will continue to happen is because these players are not going into them games. Judging by their quotes and everything else, they're not going into them games with the mentality, let's perform here and let's get into the first team, right? They've just accepted their backups. They're just rolling out. They're getting through the 90 minutes and coming home. Now, when you bring in new players and they're put in the same situation, because naturally in life, you will drift. If you're in a workplace and someone's in the same situation as you will naturally drift to them. You'll start speaking with them. You start hanging out with them more. You start to get to know them more. Now, what's happening is right, it's rubbing off on Lo Celso, Romero. It will eventually probably rub off on the likes of Brian Hill. But players like that, it's rubbing off on Bergwijn because now it looks like they're starting to have the same mentality, and it worries me. They're actually affecting, the progress of the new players we're trying to bring in, but they're also affecting the progress of the youngsters. We've already lost out on Dennis Serkin, who I believe will be a good left back, Madueke at PSV, purely because they believed they were good enough to get into the first team. But they were not given a chance because we were having to play Ben Davies. We were having to play the likes of Lamela and stuff like that in backup games and stuff like that because of the money they're on, right? And you have to try and get a tune out of them. So what they're doing is, right now, they're actually affecting all the new players we're bringing in to try and improve the squad and create competition to get into the first team. But they're also stopping the progress from players from our academy. Because Serkin left because he believed he was good enough to be back up to Regulon. He believed he was better than Davies. Wasn't given the chance. And the reason why they're also not getting the chance to even come off the bench and shine is because when we should have these games up 3-0 by 60 minutes, you can bring on these youngsters to come on and prove a point. They're not getting to come on purely because the game's still in the balance and you're having to bring on the big dogs to save them, or you're having to bring the big dogs to save them. So right now, until they actually get sold on and they're actually move on, you're going to keep seeing these results. You're going to keep seeing managers being thrown under the bus and end up carrying the can. And it's going to keep happening until they're gone, purely because they're setting a bad mentality and a bad standard for all the new players we're bringing in and the youngsters coming through. They are blocking pathways from both directions right now. And it's a cancer. And they have to be moved out as soon as. I want at least 2 gone in January, and I want the rest cleared out in the summer. No mistakes. If you have to cancel their contracts, cancel them. We have a great crop of youngsters coming through right now. Give them the minutes. They deserve it. At least they'll come in with the mentality. Let's try our best. Let's run about. Let's try a bit harder than what they were. And you probably will start seeing results in these games, because that says a lot when you have the right mentality. Because they will realize that they've been given a chance and they will want to try and make an impact to get into the first team. And every youngster does it by playing in games like these, but they can't right now because of these players right now. It's an absolute cancer, and they have to go. They are not any signing you bring in right now, and they're here longer than a year or two. They're going to go the same way because of the mentality they're setting around. You look at Joe Rodon; he's already been affected. The other night, he looked like worse than Harry Winks. He looked like he was in the middle of World War II. You look at Lo Celso, he's been absolutely god-awful. God-awful. You're talking about an Argentinian international, who was playing with Messi. Look how crappy he looks in beside them. It's affecting everybody. They have to go.
One thing I'll just say about that, David, you're dead right what you say. But what had happened in previous years with other clubs was if a player was affecting, being a disrupting effect on the team, he was sent to train with the reserves, right? The problem here is if you send the likes of Ben Davies and Harry Winks to train with the under-23s, they're going to pollute them as well. And that's going to affect the first team in years to come if they're affected by these disaffected guys who are sent to train with the reserve. So the other thing is, as you say, get rid of them in January, or cancelling the contract has got to be done by mutual agreement. And would these guys want that? If they're getting paid 80 grand a week, are they going to want that knocked off?
Well, I mean,
they're going to carry on with that, or go to a club where they get paid half that.
But you know what,
Philip?
Philip?
They're stick around for as long as they can.
There's means and there's ways to make them clean up the weights room after everybody's finished. I don't care. Make them do stuff they don't want to do so that they will want to cancel it, Make it.
You're gonna these guys. If you were getting 80 grand a week for a job and you knew that the best you could get somewhere else was half that, you're gonna stick around if you can.
Yeah, you probably will just for your own financial security. But
I'd
Dermot,
pay the other half. I'd pay the other half just to get them off and say, listen, I'll supplement your wages. No, seriously, if I was the chairman and I really want to change, I'd say, listen, go. They've given you 40, I'll pay 40 because not only am I getting you 40 grand off my wage bill if it was an 80 grand wage, but I'm getting your attitude out of my club, which is more than the 80 grand.
They got rid of Aurier that way, so maybe they can do it again,
Yeah, but the attitude is spot on, and I guess that's what I'm trying to say is it's absolutely killing this club. It's killing the culture in around the club, the winning culture. As much as Levy and the owners are, but these players are also, and we have to realize that. You cannot expect things to change under a new manager, under a new regime, while these guys are still here. It's not going to happen. It's of the utmost importance. These guys are gone quick, fast. They're holding the club back. Them alone are holding this club back.
Yeah, it's like a cancer in the club. And if you've got cancer, you create surgery on it and you go straight for the root cause and you cut it out.
Yep, and that's why the January window is going to be more important than ever. It's going to be multiple stages of chemo. I would say this Deadwood, the Tottenham tantrum saying for what I heard, Brian, I hit the nail on the head. That's what I heard. That's what I heard here. So I'll let you know. But I think you absolutely did, Dermot. I think you absolutely did. Thank you for the insight as well. You didn't even need to throw it in the super chat as well, Dermot. So pick yourself up. You think you're completely right. And also thank you for all the support, Dermot, tonight. Really do appreciate it.
Doherty's back in the squad tomorrow night as well.
Yes, back, yeah.
That's the harsh reality. Extra time though, my favorite time it is, and also I know the Harris Army's favorite time here. It's the time when you guys give your short, quick fire answers to maybe some of the questions of the day, things that have maybe come up maybe during this, theme, as well as maybe some kind of funnier, maybe more enjoyable ones. First one is, I'm going to start with you, Philip. Who is a greater detriment to our squad and its morale, Ben Davies or Harry Winks?
Both of them. But probably Harry Winks.
Which one would you rather see going right now?
Harry Winks.
Yeah. There it is. What about you, Brian?
Neither of them, Dele Alli.
Ooh, outside. There you go. A bit of an outside one.
Look, Ben Davies, I don't think is like his interviews are shit, but I don't think he's giving it the bad attitude or anything. He's just not a good player. Harry Winks is just a little timid mouse who's bitching when he gets a chance. Dele Alli, from what you see, what he does with his social media and his private life and all, he is the poison. He is the poison that is setting it all off. So to me, I honestly, I would sell him for the $5 million we paid for him just to get him out. I want him gone.
I like it. That's good. Decent shout out. That's a decent shout out that wasn't there. David, what about you? Ben Davies, Harry Winks?
Winks.
I might kind of agree with. I hate Ben Davies actually with a passion, so I'm going to answer Ben Davies. But I like Brian's shout out, maybe the outside shout of Dele Alli. Is Nuno right in having a clear A and B squad, 2-tier squad? Yes or no? I'm going to go with this one. I think it's yes, because it just has highlighted some of the absolutely horrible mentalities of some of these players. It's shown a lot about it. It's almost, kind of opened up the door on maybe these players' mentality and their weakness. What about you, Philip? Yes or no?
Tough one. That I certainly didn't agree with the way he lined up the squad for Vitesse last week. There should have been some of the senior players in there, not to start, but just to come on to change the game a bit. But I suppose if you've got players in the second squad that are bitching about getting into the first squad, they're best kept away from it. So narrowly, I would agree with you, Jack. Yes.
And maybe if they were different players, I would say at this club, I would probably say no. But with these
Probably,
players, I'm
yeah.
going to say yes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Brian, what about you? Yes or no? What do you think of the A and B squad? Was the right decision? Yes or no?
Well, I thought it was right to begin with, but now I don't. The only reason I don't, because if we'd got a result in either of them, then you could say, okay, this is working, whether it be for the Europa Conference League or for the. But it just goes to show that you can't even trust the B team to. Mate, we could go out the Conference League. The two home games we have are Vitesse and Rennes. If we don't pick up 3 points in both of them, we could be out of the Europa Conference League. So I think he's going to have to play the bigger boys in the home. So that's the reason I'm saying no to this, because he can't trust the first team. He can't. It's ridiculous, but I'm going to have to say no just based on the results that it showed. Trying to do this.
Good reasoning, actually.
He has to play the big boys now again. Both those matches, as you say.
Yeah,
he's got to play the likes of Kane and Son in those games.
Good reasoning.
I mean, the embarrassment of going out of the conference at the group stages will be fairly intense now, I have to say.
Great reasoning, both of you. David, yes or no? A or B squad? Are you in favor of it?
Usually no. Right now, in our current squad, yes, purely because we've tried all this inclusion bullshit that these players want, battering them up, buttering them up, everything else hasn't worked. So now you just go to route one. It's tough, love. Yeah, he's correct.
Who's a better manager? Ole Gunnar Schuhscheiner or Nuno? It's a tough one to answer, I would say.
At the minute, you have to say neither of them. But
not fit for this question. I should have done a better question. I'm going to go Nuno still. I think Nuno would do better at Man United.
Purely because he's Spurs manager. That's the only reason,
I think he probably might even do better with that, Man United squad than even, Schuhscheiner has. But Brian, for you, Nuno or Solskjaer?
I'm going to go for Noongajar because they're both as bad as each other. or Solskjaer. Solskjaer may have a better ring. No, listen, it's such a hard one because Solskjaer's got the players, so he really should be with those players. Oh, this is such a tough. How you call this extra time and to be quick fire? I don't know.
This one is not. This one is probably worse. This is probably one of my worst, quick fire ones. The rest of them I think are a bit easier, but this one is probably my worst one. I'm
going to go with Noonjakar. That's the. I'm going to hybrid. I'm going to do a hybrid.
I think I know David's answer. It's going to be Nuno because he's never going to let a Schuhscheiner into his club. So there we go. Which nickname needs updating and changing? I wish Dark Sun G were here to maybe help in this one. Which is your favorite as well? I would say my favorite, and probably always has been, is honestly Oscar / Mr. Hollywood, because Matt Doherty is the greatest actor I've ever seen on a football pitch. He's a football impersonator. The expressions he gives of concentration and hard work. It's honestly so deceiving, it really is. I'm going to go Oscar / Mr. Hollywood. But maybe the one that needs updating, I would say, is Ben Davies. I think Mr. Anonymous needs updating. But what about you, Philip? I think you're quite aware of some of these nicknames. So, you've probably seen them before.
My favorite one is Mr. Easy Pass because it always reminds me of when you go on a motorway and you come to a toll bridge, you have to stop and can't go forward. He never goes forward. So that's why, I go for that.
He reverses on the bridge.
He reverses. I suppose that would be my favorite. I suppose, Eric, I could never quite get the moon boots one.
Because he used to kick the ball into orbit.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. I must have missed that one. Okay. Right. Well, I'll Oscar.
Maybe you need that one needs updating for you. Yeah, it's what that one's
I don't
not.
think so. No, maybe Mars boots if you go hitting them a bit further. No, Easy Pass is my favorite one, I think. But I like Oscar, Mr. Hollywood as well because he does. Like he never gets into the Actors Union. That's for.
Brian, what about you? I mean, I think you've been aware of some of these nicknames.
Yeah, I'm aware of them. So I do love the Oscar, Mr. Hollywood one now. The one I would change, and I'll even lend it to the Harris Army because I love the Harris Army and I love you and Jack, David and Jack, is I have my own nickname for Harry Winks. which is I personally call him sat nav, because once he gets the ball and reaches 10 yards, it goes, "You have reached your destination," and he passes the ball sideways. So that's why I call Harry Wing sat nav.
Make a U-turn.
There we go. That's his favorite, and it needs updating. I love it. Absolutely love it. David, any one of these that needs updating, and maybe which one is your favorite?
Yeah, look, let's be positive. Look, I really like Moon Boots because he used to balloon the ball into Orbit every time he kicked it. But look, let's call him Eric Van Dyer from now on. Look, for a little while. Let's give him a positive one. He's been good. But look, honestly, Mr. Easy Pass, Stinksy Winksy, it's all perfect. Oscar, Mr. Hollywood. I'm sick of the camera panning to him, and it looks like he's intensely trying when he's just not. Mr. Anonymous is absolutely brilliant, but I just call the three of them lemon, melon, and spoon, to be honest with you, because they're all just three absolute dunces, idiots, and I'm fed up with them. I'm fed up with a lot of them. So, look, I'll continue to give them nicknames until they leave this club.
Yeah, definitely. And that will do it for tonight, everybody. That will do it. And really appreciate everybody as well for joining us for this one. I definitely have to go now, David, so maybe you can take it over from here. I got to go catch the reservation and whatnot, but do appreciate it. Do appreciate everyone. It's been a while, Kaniki Anthony. I want to thank Philip especially and Brian, two fantastic panelists for this one.
Pleasure,
you
brother.
boys absolutely killed it. We'll probably be seeing you very, very soon. But just as I want to say before I head off, fantastic job to both of you. Fantastic.
Thank you, sir. Have a great dinner. Have the steak.
It's going to be a bit cheaper. It's going to be Mexican food, so it's going to be a bit cheaper. But I'm going to maybe have a margarita and maybe also a virgin one for also the Harris Army as well for some of the younger ones. But really appreciate it, everybody. And again, I'll be seeing you. And come on, you Spurs. And David, if you don't mind taking it from here.
No worries, lad. It's only the outros anyway. You go and enjoy dinner, my man.
Catch you, everybody.
Get the steak, big boy. But look, what I will say is guys, Philip, again, thank you so much for giving up your time this evening. Really enjoyed it. You absolutely cracked me up. Sometimes I feel like I'm on Comedy Central. Absolutely brilliant. Really appreciate the time. Mr. Daigle, really appreciate your time as well, brother. You're over on your holidays. You could be spending time with the family, but you've been choosing.
I am spending time with family, David.
No, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Like your nieces, your nephews, your sister, your parents, and stuff like that. So I appreciate you giving up the time. But look, before we let you go, where can people find you?
They can find me on Tottenham on Tour, where Brian Ireland and I are doing a lot more stuff now. We've got a really big show, or I say big show. We've got there's a great group on Facebook. Anyone who is Levy out or whatever, join this group. It's called it's the motto, Odera for Kere. They've got like 17,000 subscribers. You'll know which group it is. There's a few of them that all say "Love Tottenham, Hate Levy" as their banner. We've got two of they've grown this channel up to 17,000 people. So the two of the admins are coming on, and we're going to be talking about how they built the channel up, what they want to do with the channel. The page, and then obviously the review of Burnley. And then the preview of United, and then obviously we're going to talk about our favourite subject, and obviously because this will be my last protest before I fly back to Toronto, so we're going to talk about that and how important this is. And they can find me on Tottenham on Tour, and always, as you know, a pleasure being on your show, and hopefully you will be coming on our show very, very soon. And Phil, would love to get you on Tottenham on Tour as well, mate.
Be delighted.
No, there
Fantastic.
You have it. There you have it. So, guys, get over there, check out Tottenham on Tour, and smash that subscribe button. Guys, just before we end off, in terms of what you can look forward to tomorrow, is we will be doing a pre-match build-up, starting in and around 4 o'clock for the Burnley game. Make sure you tune in for that. Then I'll be over on We Are Tottenham TV doing the pre-match pump-up, which I do a good job. I get everybody pumped up before the game, so tune into that. And then, feel free to pick between whatever watch-along you want. Hopefully you do come back here, but I don't blame you if you don't. But, guys, we'll be doing a watch-along for the Tottenham-Burnley game, kicking off at 7:30 for a 7:45 kickoff. But, look, guys, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Really appreciate your time. Thank you, everybody that, gets involved, answers the questions, that's tuning in, smashing the like button, smashing the subscribe button, and everyone that's helped the channel with the super chats and that as well. You're all really, really appreciated. You have no idea. And thank you very much. Just before we go, look, no need to be down about Tottenham. You know, no need to feel lonely. You have a friend in me. All my emails, same as Brian. I know it counts with Brian, Jack. You know, my email, our descriptions, and everything else you need to know. Social medias, it's all open. Get in contact. I'll give you out my number. I'll have a chat with you, ring you, have a chat, and everything else. You do not feel down, alone, or depressed. You always have a friend here at the Irish Hotspur. You'll always have a friend with Brian Daigle, with Jack. So feel free to hit us up at any time. But as always, we have a big week ahead of us. Let's dust ourselves down. Tomorrow's a big game. Let's get at it. Let's attack it. And let's get into the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup. But as always, guys, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Leave me up.